Who knew I would make it this far? They hated, they never believed me. Yeah, I would never drop the ball. I know I make it look easy. Yeah, Mayweather with the defense. I don't care what a critic gotta say. I got them picking up the pieces. That to me, you really playing with your life. I'm about to come and run it all back. I'm the new era, about to snap back. You ain't fitting for it, cause you all cap like. Hold up, I shoot my shot, wait, hold up. I'm really about to run this, go up. You know it's all net when it go up. Ain't got no other plans, you don't need to understand, ayy. We on overtime, you don't need to understand, ayy. You just show them how to do it when you don't know what to say. Tell me how you plan to win if you plan to play. Moving fast, already gone, yeah, but you bringing me back. Try to double cross me, dog, just let me relax. Stop assuming what we doing. Keep it moving, what we doing. Cause it can get big right. Cause it can get big right. Cause it can get big right. Ay, please don't play no games with me, I promise I'm too much. Ay, I can never let up even if you had enough. Ay, this ain't for the faint of heart, we always playing rough. I had enough, it ain't luck. I needed a vision, I needed ambition, I needed a mission to beat a submission with no intermission. I see the collision, the crash and the distance, they coming off track, no. Now when they ask what's the motive, don't talk about the show them. They all about to see what I mean in the moment. I gotta keep going, I'm shaking the dice and I'm keeping it rolling. They already know. Ain't got no other plans, you don't need to understand, ayy. We on overtime, you don't need to understand, ayy. You just show them how to do it when you don't know what to say. Tell me how you plan to win if you plan to play. So moving fast, already gone, yeah, but you bringing me back. Try to double cross me, dog, just let me relax. Stop assuming what we doing. Keep it moving, what we doing. Cause it can get big right. Cause it can get big right. Cause it can get big right.
Good afternoon, wherever you are in this YouTube verse. Salute. Clap it up one more time. We're going to do one more clap as well. Hindsight is 2020, ladies and gentlemen. Hindsight is 2020. Indeed, one more game. Congratulations to this era state of boxing, the pound-for-pound best fighter in the world. There's no more dispute. We get to speak it. We get to speak on it now, looking back at it. We're going to recap the card, obviously. Undercard that also delivered. Shout out to the undercard that definitely delivered. Embily, Martinez, Brandon Adams, shout out to the young bull. Shout out to the young bull coming up in young King Mo. Al Khalil, who showed that he got the grit. 10-round fight last night. We're going to talk about a 10-round fight for the young prospect, putting in the work. They put him to the test last night on the big stage. He delivered. Shout out to the up-and-coming Caleb Walsh and Fernando Vargas Jr., who also showed up last night. That fight was probably one of the most lackluster fights on the card, but still a great card. It was still a great fight. The prelim card also delivered. I mean, so much to talk about, right, ladies and gentlemen? But nothing can overshadow and nothing more stunning, more historical than that moment we saw last night. Not only did we see an era-defining fight last night, not only did we see an generational, inspirational fight last night that will probably inspire a generation of fighters, a generation of boxing fans to push for the best fights possible, the best fighting the best on the biggest platforms. 70,000 plus people in attendance, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know what the numbers are on Netflix as far as how many viewers worldwide watch this fight. On top of all that, the dominating performance, the sweet science was victorious last night against all odds, bigger, stronger, all of the different intangibles that they said were going to make it damn near impossible for a fighter, a special fighter, to come up multiple weight classes on a 13-month layoff, and be able to put a performance like that against a face or the arguable face of boxing at the time to win an undisputed his third weight class, undisputed super middleweight champion, Ring Magazine champion. Yeah, we got a lot to talk about today. Because after last night's event, you may have changed the way you look at a lot of fights. If you want to use a triangle theory, you might want to make sure and ask yourself, is my fighter the best fighter in the world? Is he? I mean, I see it. The eye test tells me that I think he is. He's giving me hints of greatness, but can I give him those accolades without him actually fighting the best? I think last night there's a good argument to say that you don't know who your favorite fighter is. You don't know who he is until he's been tested properly, until he's gone through the fire. And last night, Terence Crawford did just that. He went against all odds. No rehydration clause. He went in the backyard of his enemy. He walked into a stadium when the whole building was against him. He went up at the weigh-ins. The whole building booed him. He was questioned on his resume. He was dismissed on any accomplishments and all accolades that he did. And he went up there with his family, with his team, and his God. And that's all he needed. And he went up in the building and he conquered Goliath. Shout out to Terence Crawford, the new face of boxing, the pound for pound best fighter on the planet, the 3-weight class undisputed champion of the world. Yeah, we're going to talk about that today. And we're going to talk about the event. We're going to talk about the magnitude of the event. And of course, we have to talk about, where do we go now? Where does boxing go now? Now that all of this is in the books, now that there's no more questions and arguments to be made, what are the new arguments going to be? What are the new hills to climb? What's it going to be? I got some suggestions, but we'll talk about it. And I'm not going to talk about it by myself, ladies and gentlemen, because, oh yeah, I'm not just going to do this by myself. This is not something that I can just do by myself. Nah, we got to bring in some help today. Shout out to my guy who is also in the building and is going to give us that on the ground perspective of what was going on in that building. And listen, you guys can feel however you want to feel. I know some of you guys, he rubs you wrong sometimes. Sometimes his devil advocate profile that he might jump into might rub you the wrong way. But what you can't do is you can't dismiss this guy's experience, his knowledge, his scholarship. Yeah, you could do a lot of things. 99 problems, but that won't be one of them. Shout out to my guy, Angelo Reyes in the building. Angelo Reyes. We're going to talk boxing today. We're going to chop it up.
Oh, man. I appreciate you so much, Clay. I really do. And you know what? We're going to take the higher ground. We're going to take the higher ground.
We're going to try to. Because, Angelo, we're going to try to. I ain't going to lie to you. We're going to try to. I ain't going to lie to you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let me just start with this. For all of the people.
Put forward to try to. God,
yes.
Give me the strength.
Let me extend the olive branch. For the past 4 to 6 weeks, I'd say, Clay, on the show, so many people called me a clown. So many people called me that I don't know anything about boxing. Get this guy out of here. He loves Crawford too much. This guy must hate Canelo. And you know for a fact, Clay, none of that is true. None of it. All I was doing was giving factual experience on watching things, how they played out, right? And we did a 2-hour show where we broke down why we all believe Crawford was going to do exactly what he did, right? Exactly what he did. But again, I extend the olive branch to all of you. I'll do my best not to say I told you so, because you know what?
Try. All you can do is try. That's all you can do. Give your best shot.
Right. Speaks for itself. Now, let's not do the he got lucky narrative. Let's not do that. Let's not do the because of the crazy scorecards that were read. Keep in mind, Clay, I was there floor seats for Mayweather Canelo, and I thought those scorecards were crazy, right? And I was on the floor watching it, right? I wasn't on the handicap ADA views side of it. I mean, I was there, right? So judges are funny in Vegas, man. I don't know what to tell you guys. Judges are funny in Vegas. I don't know what to tell you.
It just showed you too, though. Let's be honest. He really had to dominate just to get a close unanimous decision, like just off a victory.
And I'll tell you, it breaks my heart because I was sitting on the Omaha, Nebraska side. There's still it was 90% Canelo fans in there, but we had our little Omaha, Nebraska section. I was actually there were people that were walking by me because they have to pass the ADA to get to their seats, and they were like, hey, man, let me show you a picture with me and Bud, because Bud Crawford is so cool that he literally rocks with the people, with the regular old people in his area of Omaha, Nebraska. That's why you saw a whole bunch of Cornhusker uniform, and there were people there, and you'll even see it if you go to Reyes Boxing on Instagram. I went on live. I was hoping my man Clay would get on me.
I was on Blues. I wasn't on my own live, so...
Yeah, no, and I kept showing everybody the scene. But like you said, Clay, the magnitude of this event, I've never been a part of anything like that. 70,400 people in attendance, bro. Standing room only. And to give you all context, as a Raiders fan, before my transplant happened, after COVID and they finally opened the Allegiant Stadium, my brother took me to Raiders versus Chargers, the very famous game where whichever team won got to go to the playoffs. It was the famous game where if it was a tie, both teams would have went to the playoffs, but instead the Raiders kicked the field goal to eliminate the Chargers, right? That one, Clay, was the loudest I'd ever heard the stadium, and that was 64,000. This one with the 70,000, it was so loud, brother. It was deafening. And do you know how good it felt in round 8 for like 90% of these fans to be just quiet? Many of you Canelo fans, by the way, I am going to rag on you, just like you fanboys in the NFL. You were leaving in round 8 already because you knew your boy was getting tore up. They were literally leaving, Clay. They were leaving the arena, right? Like when you're getting blown out 63-0, right? So this is where, again, felt good to be with the Crawford people. Felt good for us to actually finally around, I think it was round 10 that we all, everybody heard us go, Crawford. So it was amazing. And I wish all of you could, I hope, and you could have to tell me, Clay, I hope you got to feel that through the screen. I hope that the Netflix production did it some service to show you the electricity.
Netflix delivered. They fixed all the bugs. There was no bugs. It was a smooth evening. Great production. I had my beats on, my beat buds in my ear. So as I was calling the live with Blue Blood Sports TV, shout out to my brother Blue Blood Sports TV. I was listening. I had my Blue Buds connected to my MacBook, so I'm watching it and I'm listening to it. Now, normally when I'm calling a live, it's pretty much silent because I don't want the sound to come on so I don't get demonetized. But I had to catch it because not only did I want to catch the feeling that was going on in the building, but I wanted to hear Max Kellerman, Andre Ward. I wanted to hear Antonio Tarver. I wanted to hear, the professional high-level commentating that I know I would hear with those guys calling the fight. I wanted to just be there for the whole experience. Calling the live obviously changes a lot when being on this side of the microphone, calling a live, it changes the experience because normally, if I'm not calling a live and I'm watching boxing, I got I got my surround sound on. I'm sitting in my chair. I got me something good to drink that I like. I got me some food. And I'm enjoying it. I'm having a great time and not thinking about commentating and calling out the fights and calling the play-by-play. So, but this one I wasn't going to miss out on it, Angelo. And so I did catch that feeling in there. I heard everything that was going on in the building. I mean, we're going to build on it, obviously, but it was amazing. It was manifested, shout out to the great Deontay Wilder. You know what I mean? Shout out to Deontay Wilder. He always is famous for saying these words. I don't think he's penned the words, but he always says it. He says, see it, believe it, achieve it. Right. And that's what happened, man. There was a vision involved with this event that people questioned how realistic it was going to be. Was it an overkill? Canelo Alvarez, Terence Crawford, really? Allegiant Stadium, really? 70,000. You think 70,000 people give a damn about that fight? Nobody's asking for that fight. There was just a little, the faith of a mustard seed, right? The faith of a mustard seed, right? Because when we talking about no support, we're talking about cynical naysayers, when we talking about hating at the highest level, putting on a fake jacket of performance enhancement drugs on the back of Terence Crawford, speaking toward fake pictures being altered by Photoshop of him being fat or him being this, just everything that people could do to dismiss the value and discredit the value of this fight was done. So against all odds, in spite of everything that was surrounding this fight, for this fight to deliver the way it did, inspirational may be an understatement, but it's the word that comes to mind right now. I'm sure there are better words to describe what I saw, but if I got to go off the hip, Angelo, if I got to just real quick draw and shoot, that's the word I'd use right now. You could have shed a tear with Terence Crawford when he was on his knee and they called him out and they said the fighting pride of Omaha, Nebraska, and they let him know without even saying his name yet. The building knew that he won, and people were still very nervous as the scorecard was being read off, and we saw how close to the judges had it. We felt some politics getting ready to surface up here and potentially ruin this evening. You were nerve-wracked. You felt the bubble guts. As Canelo even knew he lost a fight, but he kind of hoped the politics would help him out and get him across that bridge. But, good judging, I guess, because there's an argument there to say that the judging was diabolical as well. But at least when it was all said and done and the smoke was cleared, Angelo, the right guy got the head nod. He walks off with 4 belts plus $188,000 Ring Magazine solid gold belt. Yeah, bro. Yeah, bro. A lot to talk about in this fight. We got to speak on it and speak on what the issues were. And we called a lot of things going into this fight. We anticipated Terence Crawford forcing the looks and forcing Canelo to try to adjust. We thought that the weight wasn't going to be an issue. We thought he gained the weight in the right way. I mean, obviously, there were questions there about whether or not and how he was going to deal with the punching power of Canelo Alvarez. We tried to be confident about it, but I think deep in our hearts, in our mind, you always brought us back to reality and said, Clay, remember, we just don't know what we don't know. And that right there, eat at your stomach walls, building up the anticipation and the anxiety of going into this fight, hoping for the best, but in the back of your mind, preparing for the worst, right? Because oops, a slip here, a clean shot on the chin. Canelo Alvarez is Canelo Alvarez at the end of the day. He is Canelo Alvarez at the end of the day. And as the rounds were going by, Angelo, and he started to bag those rounds in, and you started to realize, Angelo, it made you more nervous because you were like, what the worst thing in the world would be at this point? For him to bag all these rounds and then get knocked out, right? Like, for him to go 8-9 rounds ahead on this dude on the cards and then get clipped, and knowing that there'd be no grace for him, right? He was dominating the fight until that point. There'd be no acknowledgement of that. It'd be Canelo was setting him up the whole time. He was letting him get those rounds in. He was lulling him into a false sense of security. You guys don't know nothing about boxing. So, yeah, man, a lot of feelings, a lot of emotions vested into this fight, Angelo, that I personally didn't know until fight night. that I had that many vested feelings into the fight, right? I try to be Mr. Unbiased and objective. And hey, man, I just want to see a good fight. You know who's going to win tonight, Angelo? The fans are going to win. It doesn't matter who wins. The devil is a damn liar. It did matter who won, Angelo. It did matter. It mattered greatly on who won. It mattered a lot on who won that fight last night.
Yeah, no. Speak on that though, because you know, and I'll let you finish your point about that. But you're absolutely right. Everything you're saying, everything Claymore is saying to all of you right now. Thank you for joining us on the ATP Combat Media with Claymore Rain, and please hit the like buttons. Please do wipe them feet before you come in the house. Chat lives matter, as I say in the Raider podcast shows that I go to. So please, everyone, Claymore has given everyone gold. And I love hearing his perspective on it because he was at home watching it on TV as truly not only a boxing fan, okay? But let's not lie about it, Clay. Bud runs deep in your soul, bro. Like he's in there, man.
And like I said, until the fight night, you didn't realize it as much until it happened and you felt it. When that Desperado music came on and my guy came out walking out with the guitar band, and I said, Buzz got to win tonight. Huh? It was like a third voice in my head talking. Bud's got to win tonight, bro. There's no choice. He's got to win tonight. And yeah, you're vested, man. Real fanboy last night. And I say that with reluctance, because I hate to even to join the club with a lot of you guys, but a real fanboy last night in me came out, bro. Inspired, every round anticipating. I'm screaming at the screen, all right, you got this, bud. Calm down. Every now and then he get a little excited. And I'm like, bud, wait. You're doing good. Don't do this. Don't let him have this. That's what he wants you to do, bud. He wants you to don't do it. And I remember Andre Ward said something like, he's a warrior, he's a gladiator, and he's earned his right to eat. That's what he said. He said he earned his right to eat. In other words, no, bro. If he feels he can exchange here, he has earned the right. He's earned the right to get that box checked for himself. He felt the punches of Canelo Alvarez. He felt the power. He felt the imminent danger and the threat. And he said, I can weather this. I'm going to stand in here for a little bit and have a little fun, bro. I'm going to trade some shots right here. I'm going to stand my ground. I'm going to put my high guard up. I'm going to catch some shots. I'm going to stick them to the body. I'm going to pop shot him with some uppercuts. I'm going to hit him with some good hooks. And I'm going to wake him up and let him know I'm in the building. I'm going to let him know it's beyond the movement. It's beyond the boxing. I could do it right here too. And I'm going to frustrate this man. And I'm going to show this man that he has no outs. That there's nowhere in this ring you can beat me. There's nowhere in this ring that you have a chance on beating me. I'm not going to let you walk away from here and say, if he would have done this, if he didn't do this, no. You're going to be beaten all around, and you're going to walk away with no hopes of fighting me again and beating me. You're not going to go back and think that you can get me here, get me there. And, of course, at the end of the fight, I thought another interesting part of the night was Canelo didn't call for that rematch. He was confronted with the rematch. He said, hey, man, he ain't turning down no smoke. But his real response was, I got nothing left to prove. My legacy's cemented. So he was letting his fans know, letting the world know that that's not necessarily in my future plans. That's not necessarily what I want to do next. I don't necessarily want to get back in the ring with this crazy Omaha, Nebraska ass mother. That's not what I necessarily want to do, right? He didn't say he doesn't want to do it, but he let you know that what you thinking might not be what I'm thinking, but we'll see.
No. And I'll tell you, so that's, and I love that I'm hearing that perspective, because my perspective, as you know, is, and really let me wrap this word, because you had your word. My word for that whole event, and in so many ways, as you know, Clay, having told 3 years ago that I only had 30 days to live. And 3 years later, brother, to be there once in a lifetime, my word is grateful. I was grateful to Terence Crawford for bringing this to us. I was grateful to Canelo Alvarez for taking on this chance. I was grateful to Turkey Alashake for bringing boxing back to the USA the way you and I have always known it to be, Claymore. But it was locked up, man. It was prison guarded, can we say, right? And Turkey Alashake all week kept giving everything away for free, brother. Literally for free. So let me start just with being on the ground. And we did a show where I was on the ground on that free boxing event.
On the undercard. The Underdog, was it the Underdog or was it the
no, it wasn't even the Underdog yet.
Yeah, it was the one before it. Right.
Yeah, so what did Turkey Alashake promise us? He said, I'm going to do a 20-fight card. He did 5 amazing fights for free, open to the public at the Fontainebleau Hotel. That's when we did the show. That's Wednesday.
Right.
Then, Claymore, I was so grateful. I'm going to shout him out. Steve Bash, you did not have to do that at all. I appreciate you, brother. Saw me, didn't even know what had happened to me. He was wondering why I was gone from the game so long. And gave me tickets. He said, I want to invite you. And he said, however many tickets you want, right? And I would have taken you, Clay. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was like, Ray, Clay, right? So he put us in the section where he knew I would have the least amount of interaction with people so that I couldn't get sick, right? And it was perfect view because it was in the middle, like looking right down at the ring. So close enough that you could hear the shots and feel the show, right? And that's what it was. Underdog was a show, right? And the way that was done, the production, it felt like a Broadway play watching the old 1980s movies Warriors with actors. They literally had actors on stage, actors surrounding the ring, making you feel that you were in the back alley of like a New York underground fight game with live boxing and all respect to the first fight, which in my opinion didn't really live up to the event. The last 4 fights of Underdog,
right? I
mean, when it got to Jaleel Hackett, we were going crazy. We were like, and Jaleel Hackett, bro, he cried. He cried and he was so grateful. He said,
and we got to talk about that too. Yeah.
Oh man, people wrote him off. He said, they told me I'm going to work at Walmart. Well, I'm not working at Walmart. And this is what I mean is you could feel the emotion on the ground, Clay. Right. You want to cry for them. You're like, oh my God.
And not for nothing, Angelo, but with Jaleel Hackett and also Kid Austin also had a similar, very, very similar moment. Just showing you how important it is for us as fans to support these fighters, man, and understand what they really put on the line to sacrifice and make this happen in their careers. And I think as fans, we speak too boldly and we down them too easily. You know what I'm saying? And we dismiss them, and we don't know how impactful it is on their spirit. I mean, this was this kid was at a crossroads in that fight, and so was Kid Austin. And the crossroad was, if I don't perform to where I believe I can perform, I might walk away from this. He committed such a large percentage of his life, and it broke my heart a little bit to hear him speak like that. And Kid Austin, to understand that, damn, man, look at how much he was about to give it all up because he didn't want to lose.
Right.
He knew the judgment and the eyes and the scrutiny that the space would put on him was almost too much for him to deal with. So yeah, man, when you see him get a victory like that and you see that recharge his spirit and recharge his confidence, and then immediately he follows that up with Xander Zayas. He starts calling out the champions and saying, all these guys get it. His head is back in the game. He want to fight everybody again. This is beautiful.
Yeah, and that's what that's what I'm speaking to too, is that's what the Underdog series was. So I was able to invite my dear friend Captain Jack, as he's known in the Raider Nation. He's a Raider Nation Black Hole legend. Captain Jack. I invited my friend who does the knockout canvas. Right. My wife was there. Two of my friends were there. You would have been there. Ray would have been there. Like I'm telling you, it was this amazing event. We got to meet a group of people, and then for the main event, Clay, for the main event of a Thursday night 5-fight card in an arena that was so intimate, brother. It was so intimate. It was like, it literally is, if you wanted to watch like a Broadway musical or something, like it felt that intimate. But the boxing energy is so raw, right? It's like watching live Broadway play with boxing, that to have the main event be everyone seeing what 112 pounds looks like, everyone watching what a flyweight match looks like. The fact that every weight from 122 on down actually brings more action than heavyweights, because they're going for it. And for Anthony Olasquaga, shout out to you, brother, for beating someone. The two people in the corner, Hector Bermudez and Juan, I know them, and they had Camacho, and I actually thought, man, this is going to be a tough fight, right? Olasquaga, for him to put him away like that and to be so humble, and you see what I mean? Like, it made people fall in love with boxing, whether you were watching it on the Zone for free or you were there in the arena. You fell in love with Jaleel Hackett. You fell in love with Anthony Olasquaga, right? East LA born. And I'll share with you later, Clay, that we had at the very end of the night, we actually had a conversation with Olasquaga, and you know, he was gracious at taking pictures and talking to us about football. And this is why boxing was so great back in the day, is you knew that boxers and champions were accessible. They were not this weird, I don't want to talk to you, you're just a fan. They were just people. They were people that were giving their hearts to us, that could possibly die in the ring for us, right? Giving their all. The mental health,
right.
Yeah, and the mental health that takes on people. And shout out to Keyshawn Davis for taking a little bit of time to speak with me on that night too. Speaking about mental health, these guys are just good people.
They're good people, young people dealing with a lot of pressure while trying to achieve their dreams and goals. And it's a you gotta imagine. And I talk about the mental health in this space, Angela. I try to talk about it as much as I can, because as boxing fans, we owe these that's what we owe these boxers, man. Outside of your, buying a pay-per-view here or going to their events, bro, it's support, bro, because they're not guaranteed to win, man. But if you get it to the point to where you're going to appreciate and have some gratitude towards what they're doing, what you will get is a commitment to win or lose, give you the best they have the nights they get inside these rings, bro, to deliver to you the best they have, man. And the show and the fans make the difference. Turkey's platforms provide these fighters not only with an opportunity that evening, but they also understand the weight of the rewards, the potential rewards on them performing at the highest level. You look at somebody like Brandon Adams last night, who I thought had a stellar performance. I mean, I just loved every moment of what I saw him doing in there. And I can't help but believe that being on that big stage and knowing that Turkey Al-Sheikh is the type of person to reward his efforts, win or lose, he left it all in the ring, man. He put on one of the best performances. He gave me Sean Porter. Like, he was like the best version of himself that night, I will say. I won't even give it to anybody else. I'll let him have that, and just showed you what the possibilities were, man. And of course, and same thing with Lester Martinez and Christian Embily too, as well. Yes. Who just went crazy last night.
Yeah, no, and again, not to get too long with you guys, but me and Clay are speaking on emotion today, right? The emotion that it felt for Clay, and I'm trying to give you guys a glimpse of the emotion that it was for me. And if you follow again Reyes Boxing on Instagram, you see me start my post live, walking in the arena, talking about organ donation, talking about the power of that and why I'm even alive today, talking about my donor family, talking about the young 19-year-old that died but saved my life, right? And here I am today, and I'm sharing it with him. We're in an event. We're walking in today together, right? it was very emotional. So grateful is the word for all of this. And like you said, that Turkey Ali Sheikh cares enough about boxing, truly loves it. Not a promoter more than a fan, right? You know what I'm saying about that? He's more of a fan, not a promoter. He's trying to see it from our viewpoint. So to the point of literally giving it away. Normally, we're used to purchasing merchandise. Did you know, Clay, that at the end of the Thursday night show, you went to where you would normally buy merchandise, and Turkey Ali Sheikh was handing all the merchandise to everyone that wanted it. Shirts, sweaters that would normally be $40, shirts that would normally be $30. Like everybody was like, is this free? And they're like, yeah, what's your size? Brother, come on, man. How do you, I mean, come on. And so then you walk into this arena where, we're hardcore, so we get there early, right? All the fights were bangers. Sorry, Jermaine Franklin. I knew you were going to take him to distance, but that was probably the most boring one out of all of it.
Yeah, and you got a gift. And you got a gift. For whatever
yeah. So not a lot of fans like that one. I'm sorry. I apologize. I'm sorry. All the other fights.
Now I can maybe see Jermaine Franklin and Moses Atama. We can talk about that a little bit later too. But
No, we can definitely talk about
like that. It might have been the fix might have been in for that fight as well, right? Like
yes, sir. So I get to my ADA seats, right? Yeah, just to give you guys perspective on my viewpoint, which is not the same as seeing it from ringside again. So I'll admit that going into the arena, I was very biased for Terence Crawford. But part of this was my pure belief of everything that I was saying on this show. I put myself on record for all of you to clown me if I had been wrong. But I studied it, Clay. For 2 months, I watched all of these fights, rewatched them all again, did my homework, broke it down. And even in the show, for an hour, explained to everyone exactly why Terence Crawford was going to dominate Canelo. I said knockout, and I'll tell you why it wasn't, by the way. And this will sound controversial when I say it, but, Canelo low-key headbutted him. And instead of Crawford going for it, now he had to take
it brought him down a level, right? He had to protect himself. He got defensive, a little bit more reserved.
Yes, but had that headbutt not happened, Canelo was getting dropped, bro. Like he was feeling them shots. He was feeling them shots to the point where he didn't know what to do. I almost felt like there was a no Moss moment. And I give you this emotion that on our ADA section, the disability section, there was a lady who you can tell is such a big Bud Crawford fan. And when the 9th round finished, I looked at everyone. I was looking at the Mexican fans. I was looking at all the Nebraska fans. I was like, I got it up 8-1, at least 8-1. Now, again, I am biased from my viewpoint. All right.
I was right there with you, bro. Go ahead. Right? Because I scored in the car. I got my scorecard right here, bro. And you see a lot of 10s in a straight row. Okay. On the Crawford side, bro. And the only round I gave him was 1, and I think 6 was the round that I gave him.
Right. So again, please know that me being there live, this is coming from a biased standpoint. But I looked at everyone, I looked at my row, right? I said, I got it 8-1. And a few of the people like you, where you're feeling, man, I don't know what those judges are gonna do. It wasn't even about the fight, it was more about I don't know what these judges are gonna do. And the one lady, man, it was breaking my heart, and I had to lift her up. She looks at me, she goes, they're gonna rob our guy, they're gonna rob him. I can feel it. And I looked at her and said, it's not going to happen today. It's not going to happen today, right? And just like what you were feeling, they were feeling it too. Like, here we go. They're going to rob us. Bud had to do it. And to find out later, when I finally got home at like 3 a.m, brother, to find out later that Bud Crawford had to win the last 2 rounds to pull off a 7-5?
Ridiculous.
Oh, my goodness.
Every round he won was vital to him getting a close decision. Every round, one round less, he loses that fight. They were gonna take that. They were gonna take that away from that man, bro. And that's where the tears came from Terence, because he understood. He understood what happened. He was like, I had to do way more to get way less to put me on the opposite side of a loss, bro, or even a draw.
And speak on that, Clay. Say that again. He had to do way more to get way less. And think about this. And $50 million is a lot of money. But Canelo got $150 million to get the ass whooping that he received. And I will say that's what he got. Bud Crawford, like you said, Clay, had to do so much more just to get less, man. The judges were gonna rob him. And that's the part that I really hope Turkey continues to somehow fix. I know in the UK they're a lot better about this type of stuff. And again, to be fair, I will watch the replay, I promise, so that I can give more of a perspective on our next show. But watching it live, Clay, after round 9, I had it 8-1. Easy, brother. I was like, our guy's putting it on him, right?
Yep.
When the cut happened, though, I was like, ooh. I mean, because cuts can go fast.
Right.
It can go from a little to all of a sudden you're bleeding all over the place, right? Shout out to Bomac, who my wife said she was watching the Netflix along with you. She said that what she liked about Bomac's instructions is even near the end, Bomac would tell Terence Crawford, I believe you're winning, but I don't know. It could be close.
Right.
And this is very different than when the fight, and then he would say, finish strong. Thank you, baby.
Right.
That's what he said, finish strong, right? In the fight of the millennium, if you're old enough to remember, 1999, Felix Trinidad versus Oscar De La Hoya. If you were rocking with Oscar De La Hoya during that time, in your heart of hearts, you were like, oh, De La Hoya's whooping this dude bad. Mm-hmm. Oh, he's going to come away with the win. And Robert Alcazar said that to De La Hoya. Hey, man, you're winning. Just don't get careless. And what did they do, Clay? They robbed him of that victory, bro. Split decision for Trinidad. Shout out to both legends. I'm not hating on
no. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I remember that fight like it was yesterday because I watched that fight live, right? Like I remember watching that fight, and I remember there was a part of me that felt I was happy for Trinidad because I felt like De La Hoya tried to get on his bicycle and take the fight away early from Trinidad and be like, I'm not gonna participate no more in the event. I'm gonna take this win, and I felt there was a little justice there, a little because. But
the question is, did you believe that he won? You were happy for Trinidad.
No, I thought De La Hoya won the fight, but exactly. I was happy Trinidad won because I wanted De La Hoya, and I wanted an example to be made for the rest of boxing. Like, don't ever rob the fans of a fight. The people who paid in turn and play us like that. Don't ever.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's a little bit of that too when he fought against Erickson Lubin. He caught a little bit of that as well.
Right. And that's exactly what I mean is in that moment, Bud Crawford made a decision. He made the 10th round, the 11th round, and the 12th round exciting. Do you remember Bud Crawford really backing away in 10, 11, and 12? No, he did not. Did he not still press the action? Now, again, he wasn't careless, though, Clay, because you know how Bud likes around that range of rounds, he likes to go for it. Like, I'm going to get careless, and I'm going to go for it, and even if I get hit some, that's all right. He remained poised. He remained structured. He still went, bap, 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 let me get out of the way.
Right.
Unlike we've seen him in, like, Jose Benavidez Jr., bap, 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 bap. Let's keep going, brother. Bap, 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 bap. Let's keep going. Bap, 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 bap. Right? Like that's what I mean is Crawford was more bap, 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 bap. Let me get out of the way. Bap, 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 bap. Let me get out of the way. Right? Which showed to his skill level again, which we spoke about on this show. He doesn't get enough, credit for his skill, and Canelo doesn't get enough credit for how good he is defensively. And that's why I said we're not going to take it away from Canelo. Canelo is one of the best defensive fighters out there. True, Clay? Defensively, Like,
100%.
right? And Bud tagged his ass like laser tag, bro. Bap, bap, bap.
Made him pay.
Right?
Did you see how many times Canelo got frustrated and just shook his head and threw his hands down?
Exactly.
And
It was
we
loud
knew
and
that was
clear.
coming. We knew the frustration was coming. We were talking about, and I said, what's going to happen when Terence starts tagging him and he can't get out the way, or when Terence starts moving and he can't catch or cut the ring off on Terence, when Terence is able to make him pay, is he going to adjust and show us how great he is, or is he going to get frustrated like I saw him do with Dimitri Bivol? And that's what he did. He didn't have the answers, Sway. He did not have the answers, and it frustrated him because he knew it. He felt it. He felt it. He understood. Damn it, this dude is good. Damn it. You know what I'm saying?
And by the way, again, this is just me experiencing it live. I'm giving you a live access to my brain when I'm watching this. Shame on you, Canelo fans, for starting to go up the stands already. They were leaving the arena, bro. You guys aren't real boxing fans. You're not even real Canelo fans. You were just there for the event and dress nice and look good, right? That was you. You rock with him when he's great.
Celebrate a victory. You weren't there to watch boxing. So when the victory went away, there was nothing left to celebrate. So you went home.
Yeah, and that's not fair, because if you really did rock with Canelo, like all of you in the whoever is even woken up right now in the chat or still crying about the fact that Canelo got his ass whooped, right? You know, for all of you guys who are calling us clowns, and again, I'm trying not to do it, Clay. I promise. I'm trying not to go this way.
You're only human, so do your best.
I got called so many names. For all I was doing was an intelligent breakdown for everyone to watch, to do an eye test for yourself. Don't buy into the hype. Don't buy into the highlights. Actually watch all these rounds like I did, like Clay did. That's all we were telling you. But where are they in the chat? Where are the people that were calling me a clown? We're all, and I'm sure some of them are here. I know. I'm just saying, bro, like that night to me, let me land this. I was grateful, bro, to be there. I didn't even think I was going to be there. But shout out to my dear friend, Captain Jack, who's a Raider Nation Black Hole legend. He's OG. He's been a Raider fan since the 60s, bro. And he said, Angelo, I have this ADA seat next to me. Would you like to come? Now, brother, do you turn that down? You know, like even with the fear of 70,000, 65,000, I thought at the time, and I'm going to be around this crowd. I wore my mask when you saw it on my lives. So if I'm masked up as I'm talking to everyone, I was very careful. I was in a section like right in front of the luxury suites where there's so much space, right? And to be there, Clay, tears, bro. Tears in my eyes. And I'll tell you the capper, the end, near the end, my wife sends a picture and she goes, September 13th of 2022. She sends it to me, bro. It was me in the hospital, dude. And you saw my body just like, it was so skinny. And I showed it to Captain Jack and I said, Captain, can you believe that this was me?
Yeah.
4 years ago? And he said to me, that's when your fight started, man. And I was there, Clay. I was there, bro. Yeah. So thank you to boxing. Thank you to everyone. Thank you to you, brother, for continuing to have a positive space for the boxing fans, bro, for people like us who truly love it, who aren't kid boys, who live it and breathe it, bro. It was amazing, man. It was amazing. So totally grateful, brother. Totally grateful.
Man, bro. They'll never understand, man. They'll never understand. They'll never understand it, you know what I'm saying? And to be genuine, right? And I appreciate you being genuine and transparent, you know what I'm saying, in this moment. But boxing is to be a fan of boxing in this sport, it's man, some people are just a fan of the moments and a fan of a highlight reel of a knockout, but there's other people who resonate closely with the fight, with the journey, with the story behind the fight, with the story behind the fighter. And these victories sometimes resonate with your spirit in a way to where it's inspirational. Brother, it's inspirational. And we all can use inspiration in life. When we all can resonate to being in places in our life where there was no inspiration, where you felt by yourself or you felt hopeless. And when you relate and you resonate with those type of emotions, then you see the journey of somebody like Terence Crawford and you see how it ended and you get past the silliness of it all, bro. And you have respect for people who have the courage to bet on themselves, to challenge themselves in ways where most people would not take the chance to challenge themselves. Because no matter how you want to look at it, I know as confident as Terence Crawford was going to that ring, he knows tomorrow was not promised today, bro. He knows his life was on the line. He didn't have to do it, but there was something inside of him that was driving him and says, I won't be able to sleep at night if I don't get the answer to this question, bro. If I don't test myself and find out who I am and know what I can do and prove it to myself, I won't rest easy, man. So if tonight is a night, I'm going to bring my mom out. I'm going to bring my kids out. I'm going to bring the people that love me out. And I'm going to take a shot at greatness, bro. And on the opposite side of a loss came life, came a victory that most of us won't never understand. I think my guy Angelo could probably resonate because his victory, you know what I'm saying, when you talk about life and death, you just won't relate. You just won't understand. So boxing deserves more than our ass to kiss, and it deserves more than people who are sitting safe in their homes, eating bonbons and baby back ribs and drinking all the sun-kissed orange soda they can drink and big pot bellies hanging over their belts, sitting there knocking the character of fighters like Terence Crawford, bro, criticizing them and putting limitations on them and projecting insecurities and projecting your ceiling, your limitations on what you think is possible because you've never accomplished anything. And instead of cheering them on to do that and say, man, go for it, bro. I hope you can do it. Let's get it. That's what's up. We need more guys like you. We need more guys like you going out there and trying and doing these things, bro. Shout out to the Crocodile Hunter. Not to segue into some comedy. Rest in peace to the Crocodile Hunter. But if you know, you know. That man went out there and put his life on the line every day for our entertainment, bro. And as much as I used to laugh at his ass, I was very grateful for his ass as well. Pause. Because I'm like, damn, right. I don't know who else is going to go out there and play with a black mamba in his own home feel like that and almost die. I'm happy he made it, but damn it, if you don't respect the man who's going to move like that, I promise you I wasn't finna do it. I knew I would never do it. I'm not even moving to a state that got black mambas in it. I won't even live there off the strength of potentially running into one, no less going to look for one. I'm not even, that literally eliminates places to live for me. It could be a great place, and we got black mambas out here. That place is off the list. We don't go there, bro. We don't even play the odds of bumping into one on a 5-day stay. But these guys are out there, and they're adrenaline junkies, and they challenge themselves in ways that we'll never challenge ourselves. And the respect that you should have for people who are willing to do that for you, it's I can't put the words behind it, right? So to see Terence Crawford accomplish that last night, and I talked to you on the phone earlier, and I told you my son called me up. He texted me, man. Yo, my son, I had a tear in my eye, bro. My son called me up, 18 years old, bro, and said, I can't explain it. He said, and he's not a Terence Crawford fan, but he watched the fight, and he said, I can't explain it. Dad, it just feels good. I don't know why. He says, I feel so inspired. He says, I get it. You've been telling me for so long. And he says, I get it. That's what the right fights, the right event, the right situation put together at the right time can inspire a generation of young men and women to challenge themselves and push forward in ways that's what the sport means to me. It means like that to me. That's what I look at in these fights. And I see these kids make it. When I see a Raymond Ford make a comeback in the last 2 rounds of a fight, and in the last seconds before the fight's over, stop his opponent and become a champion. And I see him cry, I get it. I know what's going on there. It's too much damn work, bro. Too much sacrifice, bro. It's too much. It's too much for me not to get this moment. It's too much. Terence Crawford is always shown to be a man's man, always stoic, carrying himself. That man had to get down to a knee, and he broke. He broke because he's not iron, bro. He's human. He's flesh and blood. He's not iron, damn it. He's not iron. And he couldn't front on himself. He's like, damn it. Yeah, man. This one hits me different, bro. Damn it, I've been doing this for so long. I'm defiant. I'm defiant in my blood, in my nature. It's who I am. My mom used to whoop my ass. I'm defiant, hard-headed. But I got this right. I got this right, bro. I bet on myself and I got this right. And that deserves to be celebrated, man. Salute to Terence Crawford. Salute to that team. I do want to get into the conversation about this fight, man.
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely.
Right.
And we're in an hour in, and we'd be remiss not to pay our respects to a great legend who we shockingly found out this morning. I was there. I met him a few times. He was a very, very nice man. Man of the people, which is why an entire country loved this guy. And he, for the period and era of his time, was boxing outside of the United States. He was boxing outside of the United States so much. His people rocked with him so much that they would fly all the way from the UK to come to Las Vegas, fill out an entire arena, have a band in the bleacher seats playing for him, and a very famous chant that we all know now, Clay, when people do it. Yep.
Ricky,
it all started.
Ricky, we're singing along, walking in
that all started with Ricky Hatton. I was there for a couple of his fights. I was there for the Pacquiao fight, and shout out to Ricky Hatton, man. And I don't know what happened, guys. Me and Clay can't report on it exactly. Right. We just found out. We were as shocked as you.
I was super shocked this morning. I couldn't believe it. I thought it was a typo. It just came out. No, it seemed out of nowhere. Like it just didn't make no sense. You're celebrating Terence Crawford. You're looking for like all the memes and everything going on, and this comes on and like what? How? When? It's just like 1978. Man was 50 years old, bro. Jesus.
Yeah. No, I mean,
46, 47.
Yeah. No, and again, man, that this we speak about this on this show, and we put our hearts out to you guys on this show. But this is what I mean about how life's not. Don't take it for granted. Like stop that. Don't be so negative. Like we can have fun on this show and we can go back and forth and whatnot, but don't take it seriously, right? And I say that to say if you're gonna take something seriously,
Mazuma, check your email. If you're still here, check your email, family. I don't know what you're doing. You might be busy Sunday, but if check your email. If check your email. It is. Go ahead, bro.
Yeah. No, but take stay more on the positive side is what I'll say.
Please.
Because your life's not don't take it for granted. At least take it from me. And you can read about me on government websites right now about what happened with me. Take it from me. All right. One day you could be just like everything's fine. And then the next day, they're just going to tell you, well, you're going to die now, right? And you just don't know.
Get your affairs in order.
Right. And again, I think that's the thing is, who knew Ricky Hatton was going to die? Nobody knew that. I mean, not on our fan side I'm talking about. So to hear that news, to be shocked, rest and power to a legend, man, to an absolute legend that brought everything to us, that made boxing better, that made it generational for the UK fans. He will never be forgotten. there's only one Ricky Hatton, brother.
Yeah, moment of silence for him, man. Rest in peace, Ricky Hatton, man. Definitely sudden, very sudden, man. Rest in power to him and the team. I do want to dive into this fight, man. It's like, where do we begin? I want to just, I guess, dive in. I don't know, like, part of me wants to dive right into the main event, but then there's other parts that want to kind of go into the undercard a little bit about some of the fights, not all of them, obviously.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard. The energy,
whichever way you want to go, because you can give us the Netflix perspective, and I can give you the I was in the arena perspective, and kind of.
Were you there from the beginning? Like, you saw the whole Chuck ran out? Like, you were there from the whole thing, or?
Yes, sir. So, Clay, for everyone again who's watching us right now, and for everybody who's going to watch us on the replay, follow at Reyes Boxing on Instagram. I literally did lives for everyone so that they could share the moment with me. I realize you'll see a lot of the posts is about organ donation. Again, I'm just trying to get everyone to be aware of it, that's the reason why I'm even alive. But I was there, Clay, from before the Marco Verde. I was there, brother, when the gate opened. All right. Like, just to show everyone, here's what's going on. This is what it's like. This is what it feels like. But let's talk about some of those beginning fights. But let me first say, and I know you always laugh at me when I say this, Clay, you think I'm shaming the American fans when really that's not what I'm doing. I'm trying to get them to understand, be more mindful about this sport. If this was the NFL, your ass wouldn't pay for a ticket and then show up in the fourth quarter. None of you would do that.
Right.
None of you would do that. None of you would be paying no hundreds of dollars on a seat or thousands of dollars on a seat.
Up in the middle of the third quarter.
You'd be like, you know what? I'm going to be there to find out who wins at the end. You know what? That's what I'm going to do. No. You show up you show up before Star Spangled Banner, or you'll at least be there by the first quarter, right? So shame on you American fans who bought tickets to this event
and waited until like 2 fights before the main event to start packing the building.
Well, I'll tell it to you as every fight. And I'll let you know how many people were there. But when I was there for Marco Verde, conservatively, maybe 2,000 people were there.
Yeah,
Marco Verde fight.
Yeah,
and I could tell. 2,000, maybe a little bit more, just because it went all the way up to 100, 200 level, 300 level, then 400 level. So it's not like I walked all the way up to 300s and 400s. But shame on you in the 100 level. Let me say that. Because I was in the 100 level. Shame on you, 100 level rich MFers for not showing up to those fights. But talk about it, Clay. Talk about those first 6 fights that were free on YouTube, brother. Just like Kansas City Chiefs versus Green Bay Chargers in Brazil. It was free on YouTube. This entire 6-fight card that ended with, at the time, I was voting it as fight of the night between Brandon Adams and Boacek. That whole 6 fights, brother, was free. So let's go ahead and speak on it.
Yeah, I'm not going to talk about every one of the fights, right? The Marcos Verdes fight, I thought was I didn't like the stoppage. I kind of got it, but I didn't like it. I didn't like the stoppage. I didn't think it was necessary. I thought that rep, I don't know what happened, to be honest with you. It just didn't make no damn sense. Moving forward, I don't have the list in front of you. I'm trying to go off my memory.
Well, if you didn't like that stoppage, I know you didn't like the Santana over Nelson stoppage.
That stoppage was a little bit more palatable.
Okay,
but
fair.
I felt like they could have given Nelson a little bit more time to kind of like, it was palatable. It was like,
okay, more palatable to you. More palatable.
It was more palatable. The one with Marcos Verde was like, even though Marcos Verde was clearly winning the fight, I'm like, come on, bro, let the man, you know what I mean? What did he do? What happened to him that I don't understand why you stopped the fight. It is what it is. Before I get deeper into it, though, let me take a moment in time to introduce you guys. This is my guy, Mark Lazumi. He's a boxing trainer out of Philadelphia. I don't know if you guys met before. I don't know if you have. I feel
we've been on the show one time before, but thank you for the reintroduction. Shout out to you, Mark. Thanks for joining us today.
He's got he's got a channel that's doing very well. He's actually the one who brought me into the space. As far as what I'm doing right now, I was just one of those guys in the chat talking, and then one day I hit the link on his channel, and we talked for about 2-3 times, and then all of a sudden he was like, you should do a channel, and so I'm here. So it is what it is, man. What an event. I mean, I'm going to do the standout fights because I'm not going to go through all these damn fights. The standout fights to me was definitely the Serhii Bohachuk Brandon Adams fight. I thought was a great fight. Going into this fight, a lot of people were favoring Serhii Bohachuk. He had a lot of momentum going on behind him. He had a loss against Virgil Ortiz that a lot of people felt like he just didn't lose, right? So it was almost like a underground king who ain't been crowned. Serhii Bohachuk just needs the right opportunity type of situation. He was an up-and-coming 154-pounder that was making waves. And this, I believe, might have been an eliminator fight, but Brandon Adams being the one who had that real loss, that took that real, win away from him and stopping him in a fight where a lot of people felt that Bohachuk was winning until he got clipped. So this was an opportunity for Bohachuk to rewrite, to rewrite some wrongs in the history and really kind of like do like what Lennox did, beat the people who beat me. You know what I mean? Let me just go back here and do this real quick on a Turkey Al Sheikh card, on the biggest card of the year, potentially huge stage, a lot of people watching it. And Brandon Adams, I'm remembering Brandon Adams, and maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like he was on the Contender Series back in the day.
He won the whole thing.
Right, with the one with Shane Mosley Jr., right?
And Tyron Brunson, it was a few.
Yes. And I remember it's like I didn't remember the name, but when I saw him in the ring, I'm like, hold up, because I'm like, this dude's old, bro. I know who this is. So he gets an opportunity, and he's like smiling. You could tell Brandon Adams was like savoring the moment because he knew what we might not have known, which is I got this dude's card. I know this dude. I'm going to beat this dude tonight. You guys don't think I'm going to do it. I'm going to beat this dude tonight.
Can I just say that
what y'all think he is? Go ahead.
Can I just say before Mark goes, I did say that, Clay, on your show. I said, remember when people didn't know about the Brandon Adams Bohachuk, who's this guy? I said, Brandon Adams is the dude that knocked him out, and you guys need to go rewatch the fight so you can actually see what happened. And remember how everybody was saying, blah, blah, blah. And I said, I don't know, man. Usually when one person knocks another person out, it's kind of hard on a rematch because that memory of getting knocked out, it could get to you, right?
100%. So, he definitely was very reserved. He did not fight the way he fought Virgil. He fought like somebody who knew he needed to be more concerned with his defense than his offense. He was very aware of what it was that he was facing in the ring. And Brandon Adams also knew that Serhii knew, right? It was like an inside thing that we all had to catch up on. Like there was an understanding between
except for me. I didn't have to catch up on it. I just want to say on the record. That's why I like saying it on the record.
Yeah, Brandon and Serhii definitely had a understanding. You know what I'm saying? You ever had that, Mark, where somebody might have whooped his ass back in the day in high school or somewhere, and y'all bump into each other again, y'all end up having mutual friends later in life, and you don't say nothing, and he ain't saying nothing, but both of you kind of understand, like, yeah, you know what's up. It's cool, though. That was high school, but yeah. Right? Yeah. We don't got to talk about it. We mature now. I got a woman now. I might be married. I see you brought your woman. You got a little lovely family. We don't need to talk about nothing crazy, but we know what we know. And Brandon Adams had that conversation with Serhii Bohachuk without having that conversation with him, and that's how the fight carried out. Brandon Adams, super accurate. I love the inside game. I love his shot selection. He was not scared to pull the trigger. He was capitalizing off the fact that Serhii Bohachuk was way too defensive-minded. The punch combination, the body campaign, the uppercuts, it was so many different combinations, punches and bunches, 3-4 punches at a time sometimes, 2 to 3, 3 to 4 punches, landing a high percentage of those shots. What a fight, man. Brandon Adams stands out. And at the end of that fight, I felt like, yeah, man, I want to see this guy fight people. Like, I want to see Brandon Adams in there with Charles Conwell. I want to see him in there with Virgil. I want to see him in there with certain fighters. Stylistically, I think this guy delivers a lot of great fights. Mark, what'd you think about that fight?
The Brandon Adams versus Serhii Bohachuk fight was very entertaining. And, obviously we know that this was a rematch that Brandon Adams, was able to, stop Serhii Bohachuk. You know what I mean? Serhii Bohachuk was accustomed to being a guy, knocking people out. He had a high knockout ratio. I remember he fought somebody from Philadelphia by the name of Tyron Brunson, and he knocked Tyron Brunson out. So I was aware of who Sergey Bohachuk was then and there. And then I also remember the Brandon Adams fight because I kept up with the Contender Series because a lot of it took place with Philadelphia fighters, and I think they even came to Philadelphia at one point in time. I remember Andre Ward being a part of it. And all types of things, you know what I mean? I think Brother Nazem was one of the coaches who's a Philadelphia, rest in peace to Brother Nazem. He was a Philadelphia coach as well. So
rest in peace for sure.
I've been keeping track of Brandon Adams for a while. I remember his fight with Jamal Charlo where he gave Jamal Charlo fits. So I knew that this was going to be a great competitive fight because we got Sergey Bohachuk, who has proven himself since that knockout loss to be a top contender at 154. And Brandon Adams, I always looked at him as like an underrated fighter. Like hardcore boxing fans respect him, but he's been pretty under the radar in terms of like being a big name in the weight class. Mm-hmm. So I knew that Sergey Bohachuk would definitely have to face some psychological things going into this fight because, when you get knocked out by somebody and you end up running it back with them, even if you're a confident fighter, that's something that's going to sit in the back of your mind. Mm-hmm. And you could tell he was definitely more aware defensively, but he was definitely being stubborn at the same time. Like, this ain't about to happen again. And Sergey Bohachuk was definitely letting his hands go offensively. He hit Brandon Adams with some good shots, some good hooks around the guard and stuff like that. But Brandon Adams, it's just some things where, a fighter has your card. You know what I'm saying? And I genuinely think this was one of those situations where it's like, all right, Brandon Adams might not be able to beat this guy. He might not be able to beat this guy, but every time he steps up and fights this particular fighter, he's going to come out on top. You know what I mean? Kind of like the Vernon Forrest and Shane Mosley situation. They can fight each other 20 times, and Vernon Forrest going to find a way to beat Shane every time. That's just how it works out sometimes. If you want to throw the Fury Wilder situation in there as well, that can apply too. So, really watching the fight, Brandon Adams just looked like he was the more conditioned fighter. He was in very good shape, and it just looked like during these exchanges that Brandon Adams was affecting Bohachuk more than Bohachuk was affecting him. You could see that Bohachuk was getting hurt to the body in certain instances, or getting hit with certain shots up top to seem to get his respect. I haven't seen Sergey Bohachuk go on the back foot, throughout certain courses of the fight. That just lets you know that he was feeling what Brandon Adams was dishing out. Now, Brandon Adams is definitely getting hit too, but it just seemed like he was the more durable guy, and it seemed like he was the one who wanted it more. You know what I mean? It like he asserted himself in the fight, more frequently than Sergey Bohachuk, and I think that's exactly why he got the victory.
No doubt. Reyes, Angelo, what'd you think about the fight? I mean, in general, going into it, you already kind of put us on that you already had an eye on it because you remember Brandon Adams from the fight before, and just like that was a great point Mazuma brought up as far as him fighting Jamal Charlo. That was a very competitive fight, man. He's just never been a slouch. And here he is. How old is he? Like 37 years old at this point, 36 years old, something like that.
I thought he was only 35, but
like 35, 36.
Yeah.
35,
So,
36,
shout out first of all to the positivity that Brandon Adams had been given the entire promotional group. Shout out to all the, I think you have to be able to be the type of person when anything in life, when things are hard for you, or maybe people doubt you, to have humor, right? And Brandon Adams constantly posted that he's old, right? And he would joke around about it. Even on the weigh-ins, he did the Uncle Drew and put on an old man's wig with the glasses and the cane, right? And then he took off his shirt and looked like he was 18 years old, all snapped up or whatever he's taking. I don't know what he's doing, but damn, that body, man. I mean, the kind of body I wish I had right now. Like, I was like, damn. But, so heading into that fight, and you could even see him going into the ring, you could feel like that positive energy, almost kind of like, I'm going to whoop on, like what you said. I'm going to whoop on you. I'm going to whoop on you. I know I'm going to whoop on you. It's just that everyone else here who at the time, at that point at least, the rich 100 people, 100 level people were at least there. I would say that by that time, we probably had conservatively 28,000 at that point for Sergey Bohachuk. Still, shame on you, gambler, you people gambling in Vegas who didn't even get to see that fight. But as the rounds would go on, the narrative around us there was like, Brandon Adams is winning. My fear, bro, from the PTSD of these damn Vegas judges is I was like, man, I just hope they don't take it away from Brandon Adams in any way, because a lot of this was phone booth fighting. They were literally just like two rams at each other, then bow, bow, bow combo, bow, bow, bow combo, right? So even, us, we know Brandon Adams is winning, but as I was posting, I kept saying, could be close, because it was almost like I was trying to warn everyone, these damn judges, yo, like could be close, but even though in our heart of hearts, we knew Brandon Adams, so well deserved. And this is gonna sound controversial. I think if Canelo, who looked like he really wanted to retire and say he wanted to retire, and I'm gonna do my best, Clay, I really am. I'm gonna do my best. He got beat so soundly that any beating like that you take makes you rethink yourself as a man at that point, because you've accomplished so much and you got 150 million and you're already the first billionaire boxer. Why do you want to take any more beating? Why? But if there was a beating that you might consider taking, maybe give Brandon Adams a shot.
Okay.
Maybe ask Brandon Adams to come all the way up, to 168 and something like that. I'm just trying to help Brandon Adams out here, right?
Give him a fight. You kind of feel like you want to give him, like, he should get some kind of reward for that fight. Like, give him something.
Yeah, exactly.
He's not finna be a champion at 154. He knows that. He did a great performance. Give him a good payday.
Yeah, give him one shot. Yeah, we do that. And Clay, honestly, I know he's 154, but he is older, right? He's about the same age as Canelo. And would you hate it if Brandon Adams moved up to 168 to fight Canelo? I wouldn't hate that fight. Why? Why not? Right? Because what else can Canelo really do at this point? So again, shout out to Brandon Adams, USA, man. That's awesome.
Great fight, man. There was some up and coming young bulls on there too, guys. I had my eye on Reato Tsutsumi. Him and his brother been shaking it up a little bit. 130-pound fighters here. Did you get a chance to see them fight, Mark? Did you see Reato fight?
Which one did Sumi fight?
He fought Javier Martinez.
It was like yeah.
I wasn't paying like the closest attention to it, but I was watching it. Yeah.
Reato Tsutsumi is a really entertaining fighter. Japan is doing such a good job with these little guys, right? These little guys come out here and they do some.
But he's not work. So little, Clay. He's 130 pounds. He's not so small.
Pounds. Exactly. He's actually a big.
He's a big little. He's a big little.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But man, shot placement, IQ. Yeah, bro. This kid only 3 fights into his career right now. I don't know, like 2 fights into his career.
Third fight. So let me speak on it about my man Reato Tsutsumi, y'all. Because you know, Clay, you want to break down Japanese boxing. You bring me on, right? So
he got all the little weights.
Oh man. So first of all, I got to meet Reato and his team on that Wednesday, right? And bowed, because you have to understand the culture, right? So bowed. They were extremely, they knew right away. All right, this guy's tuned in. He knows, right? Didn't want to interrupt the space. The young man doesn't speak English, so it's all Japanese. But very humble, and you could tell that he's a warrior for sure, built like a warrior for sure, but fresh out of high school. You know what I mean? Like, he's 19 years old, this kid, right? And he wants to make boxing his university. Boxing is his career. He's not trying to go to college. He's already in the college of boxing, right? So I'm pumped up about this kid, because this will sound like, again, man, I know some of the people on your show, Clay, but Pacquiao-like, really, if I'm being honest. He gives me some of that. He gives me a little Shakur vibe with his IQ, right? I think this guy could be the next Naoya Inoue, mainly because he's 19 years old and he's already with Turkey. Him and his brother are both there. This kid, though, I can understand why they were calling him the Japanese version of Shakur Stevenson. Not to say that he's Shakur Stevenson now. They're talking about when Shakur Stevenson was coming up.
Right.
That's what Reato Tsutsumi.
I didn't even know they were calling him that, but I see it. I see it. Like that fits.
Yes. So you'll see. Go to Reyes Boxing on Instagram. When he came up, I went live and I was like, "This is one of the reasons why I'm here today." Reito Tsutsumi, remember the name. And what did he do, Clay? What he always does when you give him a chance.
That body campaign was diabolical, man. He destroyed this dude inside of one round, and I mean, it was a one-sided affair. It was one of those fights where it was like, you have to level him up. You can't put anybody in front of him or he's not going to get better. That's what I said to myself. He's not going to get better. He might even get worse if you continue to put this type of food in front of him. He needs to be fed. Very similar to a Moses Atuma type of energy, just really gifted, really a talent that needs to be molded, needs to be cultivated in an organic way, in the right way, man. Abdullah Mason gave me that vibe in his first like 7 fights that I saw him fighting, and I was like, yo, they're gonna have to level this kid up. These guys are too easy. He's not going to get better. He's not going to get the rounds in. The same thing we're going through with Moses Atuma right now, to where he might legitimately have to jump in the ring with an Alexander Usyk or jump in the ring with Daniel Dubois. People feel like it's too fast, but the reality is there's no competition for him. He's just going to continue to knock people out inside of 2 rounds, and he's going to end up like an Edgar Berlanga, knocking out 17 people in the first round and then finally getting in the ring with somebody because now you think he's ready for it and he's going to get clipped. So, yeah, man, keep an eye on him. Ryoto Tsutsumi, man, super entertaining fighting. Him and his brother, by the way, who I think is going to get an opportunity soon. I'm hearing through the grapevine that he's going to get an opportunity to fight for that WBA belt that Lamont Roach is going to let go of. There is an interim champion right there at 130, but I believe that that they're going to give Ryoto Tsutsumi's brother. What's his brother's name again?
I don't want to screw it up. It's I want to say it's Hayato, but let me double check because I don't want to screw it up.
But another action-packed fighter, man. Looking forward to see these guys do great things in the space. Also, what did you think about the Turkey Al Sheikh's little golden boy, Muhammad King Mo Alakel? Got his first 10-round fight in. This kid also young. I like him. I don't know how quick they want to throw him in another 10-round fight again like that. He weathered. I don't want to say he weathered the storm. He did a great job. His boxing is great. He's working with Abel Sanchez right now. He got himself a victory. That fighter, they had him in there, Terence Crawford, real dog. You know what I mean? Really had that heart of a lion. Not the better boxer, but a great fighter, and tested Alakel in a way to where I think Alakel knows about himself a little bit more now. I think Abel Sanchez knows about the fighter he has now more. The space, understands the kind of fighter he is, and I'm assuming that Saudi Arabia is going to try to really fast forward him as much as they can. They're throwing him in 10-round fights in his 5th round into his professional career. What do you think about him? Any thoughts on him? Did you guys see him? Did you see him? I
was there. I wanted to hear what Mark.
Yeah, Mark, did you see him? King Mo? He actually opened up the main card.
Yeah, I thought he dominated his opponent. His opponent was definitely, formidable in his own way. Came forward, tried to press the fight. He definitely didn't come to lay down. To be honest with you, I didn't really see anything that like jumped off the page when I was, watching dude. You know what I mean? That's just me personally, but you know what I mean? Turkey Al Sheikh and they got their plans with him. I guess they believe in him, and if they didn't, he probably would have been doing a 4 or 6 rounder.
That's what I would think.
So yeah. Obviously, they see something in the kid. They're gonna keep pushing him, and you know what I mean. We'll see. I'm for what the fighter wants. You know what I'm saying? If the fighter feels like he's ready for that situation, then so be it. Let him do the 10 rounders. But there's not gonna be much backpedaling once you get into a 10 rounder. See, that's the thing. So what you gonna do? 10 rounders, 10 rounders, 10 rounders. Then all of a sudden you feel like you're not ready. Then you gonna go do a 6 rounder or an 8 rounder. It's not gonna look too good. That's why I always believe in, unless these guys are like Lomachenko, they got 400 fights and 2 gold medals, and at a certain age. That kid was young, wasn't he?
Very young, man. How old is Muhammad? That's what I wanted this conversation to kind of go into. Is like, if he didn't move too fast, he's got to be like 19, 20, 18, 19. I don't know. I'm about to pull
I think I heard them say that.
Oh, no, he's 21. He's 21.
Okay, so that's still very young.
Right.
So they believe in him. They wouldn't do that if they didn't believe in him. So I didn't really see anything that was like too crazy where I felt like he was like on an Andy Cruz level or anything like that. Where it's like, oh, okay, this kid, you know, he could fight for a world title now, or he could be the world champion right now. That's not how I assessed him at all. But you know, I guess it's all a process. But I'm for, you know, taking your time with these younger fighters and really, you know, getting them as polished as can be, so that when they get to an elite level, there's nothing to necessarily be worried about.
No doubt, no doubt. Shout out to JR Spot right quick. I know you sent this a while back. We was in the middle of building and all in the emotions and everything like that. So kind of almost forgot about you. But thank you, man, for the $5 holla. I appreciate the support in the channel. JR Spot Grassroots, man. Always been here from the beginning. When I had a couple of hundred of subscribers, he was one of those guys, and it'd be me and about 5 or 6 of y'all in my chat, and we'd be building on some boxing, bro. So I appreciate it, man. Says congratulations to the best boxing podcast out there. Clay called another upset with detail and precision. I appreciate that, man. Thank you, man. Shout out here for boxing. Another a Philly native, Mark. Another Philly native here for boxing. Showing some love here with the $2. Says TBC era. That's the Terence Bud Crawford era, man. And we're gonna get in that conversation very soon because wow. But go ahead about Muhammad. What do you think about Muhammad?
Yeah, so being there again, let's give this context, and this is what we speak upon on the show too, Clay. We've talked about this before. Remember when we first started having a serious conversation, I was telling you, I need you to undress your eyes and look at boxing from a global sense, because it's very easy to get trapped into thinking America, America, America. Right. Open your eyes, and then you will see where we're actually at. Like you'll see what needs to happen in order for us to be number one again. Shout out to Bud Crawford for making us number one again. Thank you very much. But Muhammad Alakel, and I was saying this to everyone that got to watch it. If you got to be there Wednesday or watch the replay on the Ring Magazine YouTube of the Wednesday open to the public boxing match, they also had a Saudi 154 pounder. I believe that was his second fight. And he's being also trained by Abel Sanchez, right?
Right.
And then that's someone they're bringing up. So, and then there's a couple of others that you're going to start to hear about. When we first heard about Muhammad Alakel, he was on the undercard of October's first Bivol Beterbiev fight.
Right.
Exactly. Same fight that had Busta Rhymes and Missy Elliott and Ciara on the concert. That shout out. I'm old. I'm sorry, but shout out to those guys, right? That was an awesome concert. He did a 4-rounder. And then they moved him fast, Clay. December of 24, he does a 6-rounder. Then February of 2025, which was the 7-fight card right after the Super Bowl that I told you, Caleb Smith versus Joshua Buatsi. That could be fight of the year. And that was the first fight everyone saw, right? That was Stevenson Padley. Muhammad Alakel fought on that card.
Right.
Again, they're moving him fast, right? Then in May 3rd of 2025, bro, fought again, 6-rounder, right? Then he gets his first knockout in August of 2025, right? So he went Riyadh.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden, they're like, let's introduce him to the world.
Let's have him open up.
So it's a lot of weight for this young 21-year-old young man, like we've spoken upon, right? The mental health. This guy, he's got a whole country kind of being like, well, if you're supposed to be the next man, you better represent the country well, right?
You better represent. He had his own security from Saudi Arabia. He had private security from Saudi Arabia and turbans and everything walking behind him. I mean, they're putting a lot.
Yes, they're putting a lot on his shoulders, right? Yeah. So, having said that, I think he's going to get a lot of, I'll call it introductory fights. I don't think they're going to push him too fast. I don't think they're trying to make him world champion status, because let's be fair to the man. You know, that was his first. He jumped from 6-rounders to 10-rounders, bro. Come on, right? Let's be fair to him. And that was only his 6th win, bro. And it wasn't like Travis Kent Crawford sucked, right? He had his own style. But by the way, when you're watching it live, he rocked Alakel,
100%.
which was the first moment
It was like the 7th or 8th round, like around that time.
It was in the if I'm not mistaken, and again, forgive me, y'all. When I was watching it live, I thought it was in the 9th.
Right.
That Crawford then hits him, bam, and you could tell Alakel was shook. And I'm gonna bring this up again. You remember when Andre Ward got knocked down super early in his career? I believe that was the second fight. Might have even been his pro debut, but it was super early.
Darnell.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And he showed that grit. That okay, this is the first time this happened. I'm gonna, and I think that was kind of Alakel's moment to be like, all of these fights, I have to be always present in every 30-second moments of all of these fights, because at any given time, no other sport in the world can turn on you like this. Mm-hmm. You could be winning and easily chopping everyone up and doing everything right, and then round 9, bam! Oh no! I might lose this. So I actually had a good time watching the last round, because in the last round, if you want to know anything about Muhammad Alakel, watch the 10th round, because he didn't run away per se. Mm-hmm. He actually showed the skill level of where he's at this point in his career, having to fend off someone who was trying to then knock him out, with that opponent fully knowing that his chance to get another payday from Turkey was to get a knockout. And Alakel held his own. So shout out to Riyadh. Shout out to Muhammad Alakel. Young man, I think you did just fine. I don't need to see you fighting nobody hard. I mean,
exactly.
Keep it at these Crawford paces right now, So
yeah, I agree with you, man. And that's why I brought him up a little bit, because I think he's talented. Like Mark said, I didn't see nothing special, but he's talented, man. He is. I can kind of see what they see in him. He's young. They're looking for their little golden boy. They're looking for somebody, he's a handsome young man, representing the country, speaks English super well. You know what I'm saying? You can clearly see he's educated, and he has some educated hands as well. The power, he's probably going to get his grown man power a little bit more as he's growing. Allow him time to develop, man. Definitely allow him time to develop. I saw they really put a lot on him walking out to that ring. He had 2 big old dudes in turbans, like walking him to the ring. Like, Saudi Arabia is definitely making it clear, like, that's us. Y'all keep, y'all
yes.
be respectful. That's us.
And don't be surprised now that if in the 2020 in LA in the 2028 Olympics, Riyadh and Saudi Arabia is being such a player in this global space of boxing that they're going to have their own team in the Olympics. Don't be surprised. And then that these are all the small little introductions to, hey, we have this person, we have this person. Then all of a sudden, bam, here's our Olympic team, right? So, and remember the way the Olympics work now, right? Let us educate you again. The way the Olympics work is you could be a pro and go to the Olympics. So don't be surprised if Muhammad Alakel goes into the Olympics for Saudi Arabia just to continue the brand, right? So,
yeah, man. We'll keep an eye on him and see what he definitely does. So let's go ahead and get into some real fights. Not to say no real fight. Also, Sultan Al Muhammad also had a great debut against Martin Carabello. I thought that was a crazy fight. Martin Carabello needs to learn to keep his hands up. That was crazy. But it was an action-packed fight for the opener. That was a good fight. All right, so let's get into, do we want to speak on Steve Nelson at this point, who goes up to 175, just coming off a fight with Diego Pacheco. Competitive fight. Diego Pacheco won the fight, though, handily. But, Steve Nelson, an older gentleman, getting a last shot to go into the light heavyweight division, and was looking to make get a victory that was going to put him in the conversation at 175 and hope and get some paydays, or who knows, maybe he can chase down one of these interim titles or something. He went in there against Rayco Santana, and I think to say it was an upset. Would that describe it? There was an upset. Rayco Santana catches him right on the chin with an overhand right. Completely knocks his whole equilibrium off and is able to capitalize. Let off a lot of punches unanswered by Steve Nelson, and the referee gets in there and stops the fight in the first round. I guess
And you felt like it was okay, Clay? Can you speak on that? That you felt that it was okay?
To me, it was palatable. I think he could have let it go longer, but I was okay with the stoppage, right? I'm like, all right, all right, fine. You know what I mean? I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, he was hurt. He wasn't protecting himself very well, and he looked like he was heading down. Could he have just went down and got a 10 count? I also felt like Steve could have took a knee, maybe. I don't know. If he would have did that might have helped the situation a little bit. But that being said, we can talk about the fight, right? I don't think it was that much to talk about in the fight, but I'm more so interested in you guys' opinions on Steve Nelson at this point. I mean, are we retiring? I mean, this is your last shot. What are you going to do at this point? You lost 2 fights in a row, your debut at 175. What kind of fights are you willing to take? And where do you really want to go with your career at this point? But what do you guys think? What say you on Steve Nelson at this point? Any opinions on it, Mark?
I'll make. Oh, go ahead, Mark. Sorry, I was just gonna make mine short, then I'll let you go for a long time. I think we should just see Steve Nelson versus Berlanga next at 175. Let's just see that.
Okay, what do you think, Mark?
Well, from what I've seen in the fight, I mean, obviously he came off of a fight with Diego Pacheco where he did take some punishment. You know what I mean? It was certain points where, Steve Nelson was getting caught clean and things like that. But I think what really hurt Steve Nelson going into this fight, besides the punishment, was the inactivity. And he's been, pretty much embracing the inactivity, saying, well, my bro swing, talking about Crawford, I swing. So pretty much like I'll fight when you fight type situation. So, there's only so many fighters who, could take these layoffs and, come back sharp. Terence Crawford happens to be one of them, Floyd, Mikey Garcia. There's people that, could have these layoffs and then come back and look like they've never left the gym. You know what I'm saying? Steve Nelson, on the other hand, he doesn't have that much time on his side because he is an older gentleman as well. And I said it in the group chat that I'm in on Instagram that I have a few of my subs on. And I was saying how Steve Nelson, even prior to him being hurt, prior to him being stopped, I said, man, he looks old. And what I was meaning by that was his timing. You know what I mean? Defensively, it's like he couldn't really – he wasn't responding well defensively to the shots. His reflexes look a little bit slower. It's like he lost a step in a way. And that's usually an indicator that somebody is, extremely rusty or, on the decline. And Steve Nelson got hit with multiple shots, multiple right hands prior to him being stopped. And a lot of people were complaining, saying that it was a premature stoppage, and I definitely get it. In my personal opinion, if I was a referee in that situation, I probably would have gave him a standard 8 count, you know what I mean, and just allowed the fight to go on. However, if you listen to the referee while Steve Nelson is getting hit, he's like, Steve, you got to show me something. Steve, you got to show me something. And he didn't throw a single punch throughout the course of that, onslaught that Santana done put out. And, Santana, I believe he just upset Truck Simpson as well. So this is somebody who, is not really to be messing with. This is some, he's a Cuban fighter. You already know that they got a great reputation. Yeah, he had a couple losses, but, at the end of the day, there's a lot of fighters out here that are a lot better than their record looks. And that's why we see upsets frequently. You know what I'm saying? So, Steve Nelson, it looked like he definitely lost a step. I think they put him in there with a guy who, had a little bit too much activity and momentum going on. And I think he paid the price. Now, where Steve Nelson actually goes from here, if you're not able to, defeat somebody like a Santana, then I don't really know how far you could really take it to the sport, even grabbing an interim title, because at 175, these guys are bigger, they are stronger, and they may be punching harder than Santana. And if you're not able to defend yourself, properly in the ring, then these results will continuously happen. So, me personally, I don't know what Steve Nelson has left. Only he knows that. But I don't know. You got to ask yourself this question, if you're Steve Nelson, if I can't compete at an elite level, then what am I here for?
100%. That's got to be a real question. I mean, he sounds like a guy with a lot of options. Go ahead.
Can I ask Mark this question? And again, this is why you guys should watch Mazuma TV, I believe is what it is, right? Mark, because he gives you these in-depth perspective, especially if you're just a casual fan or a mainstream follower and you don't understand boxing. You go to Mazuma TV and he'll break it down for you, and he'll be like, hey, you didn't even know about Raiko Santana and this Cuban-born El Corojo, I believe, right? But can you speak on that a little bit more? Because Santana, Mark, is only 32, right? And I thought he was more of a 168 guy anyways, but what about his trajectory of his career before we talk about what Nelson should do? In your opinion, where would Santana go now that is he 14-4 now? Like you said, he fought Truck Simpson, but I believe he's 14-4. I could be wrong.
Let me take a look. I thought he only had 2 losses. Let me see.
Yeah.
He's actually 13-4. Okay. So and according to BoxRec, he's campaigning at 160. Yeah, I think he just moved up because Steve Nelson decided to fight at a catch weight. That's another thing. I heard Steve Nelson missed weight.
Is that what it was?
I heard he missed weight. What I heard, I don't know. Somebody has said that in my comments.
So that's why he was 171.
That makes a lot of sense now. That makes a lot of sense.
When
so this was really supposed to be.
He might be dialed out, man. He might not be dialed to the wing because you just come out of camp with Terence Crawford, and you missing weight. What were you doing during the camp? I find it hard to believe that. You know what I mean? Like in a camp like that, the camp that I'm picturing Terence Crawford having. How does Steve Nelson miss weight? Was there an injury, or is he just not really into boxing no more?
Yeah, and that's why I want to hear Mark's opinion on, and he knows. I mean, he's a coach. He knows how it works. What do you do with someone like Santana who just won on a free YouTube card? In where, like I said, for me to be able to say that I was there for the very first ever original Underdog, which is now going to become our Tuesday night fights, our Thursday night fights. And if you're old enough, and I'm older than you, Clay, but if you're old enough, you remember USA Network 100%. Tuesday night fights, right?
100%.
The Underdog is that. So Santana, he's already fought Truck Simpson in overtime. Now he had this big stage on the undercard of Canelo Crawford. He beats one of Crawford's guys. He stops him, right? Mm-hmm. He's only 32, Mark. So if you were a part of his team, like where does Santana go from here? Who do you put him up against? And how do you start to build upon this young man, especially if he has a chance to sign with Zuffa Boxing?
Well, I'll tell you this. And I thought it was pretty interesting that you brought up prior to me speaking that Edgar Berlanga should fight Steve Nelson. I think that Reiko Santana should fight Edgar Berlanga. I think that he's more deserving of that opportunity. Because look at Edgar Berlanga's situation. He just got stopped against Hamza Shiraz, right? And I've been heavily critical of Edgar Berlanga, not because of how the way he acts, even though that could be something that bothers me. He missed a lot of steps early on in his development stages in his career. And I've been saying this for the longest for anybody that follows Mazuma TV, that he didn't learn anything when he was getting all of those first round knockouts. And I use this situation. I use this scenario right here. It's like if you're playing NBA 2K, Madden, or whatever the case is, and you're constantly playing on rookie mode, and you get too good for rookie mode, there's not really much resistance that's going to be there. You're just going to win easily every time. You're not building any type of experience. You're not polishing up on your game. Right. So if you're playing 2K and you're playing on rookie mode, and then all of a sudden you switch to modes one day and then you're playing on Hall of Fame, you're going to have a lot of difficulty because the computer that's going to be going up against you is going to be doing things that you're not accustomed to seeing, things that you've never come across as things you're going to have to deal with now. Edgar Berlanga didn't even fight any other top contenders in his division. Because when we look at how the way these guys usually get polished on their road to being world champion, the prospects that, they start fight, they fight those guys with the upside down records and, stuff like that. And then eventually they start fighting guys who, don't have the best records, and it's a winnable fight, but he's going to be able to give you rounds. He only been stopped or, a certain amount of times out of his losses, or he never been stopped at all. Then you start getting into the gatekeepers, like guys who, were either top contenders or even former world champions, but, they passed it, but you could still learn something from them. Then from there, they start facing like the other contenders in their division that got something to prove like them. Then, you know what I mean? Then they'd be like, all right, you passing all the tests. Here we go. Here's your world title fight. You see what I'm saying? Edgar Berlanga, he went through like the journeyman phase, but in terms of like facing the former world champions, the gatekeepers, he didn't face any other top contenders. He literally went from journeyman to world championship level fights. You see what I mean? And then, and I'll take this back. He did fight another top like sturdy guy like gatekeeper and Romer Alexis Angulo, but look how the way he looked. they should have contained. They should have been like, all right, he didn't look too impressive in this bout. You know what I mean? Let's keep him at this level until he shows us that he's improving. Nope, went straight over to the world champions, cashed out, and ever since then, you know, Edgar Berlanga doesn't want to take a step backwards. He just wants to, you know, keep making this type of money and stuff like that. Edgar Berlanga needs to realize that he's not championship level. He's not a championship level fighter. There's a lot more for him to learn. And I think Rico Santana will be a step in the right direction. This is somebody who, if Edgar Berlanga is slipping that night, he will lose.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? So this is a fight that's going to make Edgar Berlanga get up, make him get in the gym, you know, hone his craft, as they say, and really learn from somebody like Rico Santana, because this is somebody who, you know, has never been stopped. He got a few losses, but he's still ranked in the top 50 in the world at super middleweight on BoxRec, and he's currently top 5 Cuban super middleweights, you know, out of his island. You feel what I mean? So this is a quality opponent for him to come back and learn something against. You know what I mean? Not like that guy that he fought. His name was like Mantequilla from Puerto Rico or something like that, who was in jail all this time. It was 300 pounds and had to cut all his weight to fight him. You're not going to learn from anybody like that. And that might have set you up for that failure that you just went up with
Hamza.
Raz, right? So you need to fight guys that you're capable of beating, because Edgar may possibly be able to beat this guy, but people who's going to give you obstacles that you can learn and grow from. You see what I'm saying? So Rico Santana, Rico Santana, Edgar Berlanga, I like that more. I feel like that'll be a better, tougher fight for him than Steve Nelson, who looked a step, he looked a step slower in his last bout. Yeah, I mean, that might be a gimme fight for Edgar Berlanga at this point. We don't know how much Steve Nelson got left. Now, we talking about Steve Nelson from a few years ago that stopped DeAndre Ware and all that. That might have been too much for somebody like Berlanga. You know what I mean? But age does catch up to people. I think that's what happened with Edgar. So, I mean, with Steve Nelson. So let's see Rico Santana and Edgar Berlanga. That'd be a good one.
Now, let me ask you.
Sorry. Hold on, real quick though, because I love that breakdown, and I like that perspective on it, because Edgar Berlanga at 28 years old, I think 27, 28 years old, still a young fighter and still has an opportunity for some redemption, right? He has time for development. I can see if he was like 35, 36 years old, and it's like time to go get the money, time to make the most out of this career I've had this whole time. But ultimately, at 28, 27 years old, he has the time to kind of take a few steps back, build himself back up a little bit, take a fight with this Rico Santana, build his pedigree back up, and get himself right back in the conversation of either fighting for a championship at 168, or who knows, maybe even go up to 175 and compete up there if that's what he sees fit. I love it, man. I love it, man. Yeah, Rico Santana, Edgar Berlanga. I think it's a good look.
So Mark, with Nelson, then you believe more so retirement than just giving him one more chance. And the reason why I said Berlanga is coming off of that loss in front of a lot of people in his own hometown to Hamza Shiraz, who, by the way, got a chance to see in person too, Clay. That pause everyone, but a handsome looking dude, bro. Like, I was like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know how some people look at Prince that way? I was kind of like, I can see how this guy could become a star. You know, well-spoken, tall, right? Good looks. So anyways, pause, y'all. Pause. I have a wife. But Steve Nelson versus Berlanga could be good, because if Berlanga can't beat Steve Nelson, then who could he really beat at this point, right? And they're both coming off of losses, but you don't like that matchup at all, because you're saying Nelson should just call it quits, or, you know, because where does he go? He's too old now, right?
I mean, he is 37 years old, and he's coming off of back-to-back losses. So what my whole thing with Edgar Berlanga is, if that fight were to be made, I wouldn't trip. You know what I mean? I'd definitely watch it. There's nothing necessarily wrong with that fight. But like I said, with Edgar Berlanga, it's more about growth and development at this point. You know, if he's getting rocked within a minute and a half of a fight with Rico Santana, who we never really looked at as like this big puncher. You know what I'm saying? How is he going to be able to stand up to somebody like Edgar Berlanga's punches, who's notoriously known for being a fast starter and a big puncher? I don't know if Steven Nelson has that defensive awareness how he used to. Like I say, he looked a step short. His reflexes looked a bit shot. Timing defensively just wasn't there whatsoever. So it's like, are we really about to give Edgar Berlanga And I'm not saying anything could happen. It's boxing. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to assume anything like that, but there's a likelihood that this might be a first round knockout. Is Edgar Berlanga about to do an 8-week camp and then not learn nothing? We're getting a first round knockout over a older Steve Nelson, who is coming off of a 2-fight losing streak. I would rather him fight somebody like Raiko Santana, who, like I said, is a winnable fight. You know what I'm saying? Because Raiko, he's solid. You know what I mean? He's not somebody to necessarily sleep on, but he's beatable too. I mean, he lost 4 times. You know what I'm saying? So I would rather see Edgar Berlanga take on that type of opportunity because, like I said, it's about growth and development. I think he'll learn more from a Raiko Santana fight than a Steve Nelson fight at this point.
And can I just say this, Mark, and let me see what you think. My take on it is I'm going to see it from Turkey's eyes. Okay. Berlanga did him a solid by helping really promote that show that Shakur Stevenson and everybody was in. Berlanga was big time on that, right? Steve Nelson just, like you said, they stopped it and was he hurt? I understand what you're saying, Clay, but it was early-ish. All right. I don't disagree with the stoppage, but early-ish.
I agree.
So from Turkey's viewpoint, right? You just had the Dalton Smith versus Subriel Matias fight fall off because you lost the bid, right? Or whatever happened there. You need another American fighter. Why not get 2? Why not put them on the November 22nd card? Edgar Berlanga versus Steve Nelson. And here's my point, and I know what you're saying. Steve Nelson gets knocked out. Well, now Berlanga just beat the guy that actually gave Diego Pacheco a pretty good time. And Pacheco Berlanga, Mexico versus Puerto Rico, sounds pretty good to me going into 2026. But now you can actually sell Berlanga Pacheco. Because right now I agree with you. You can't sell Berlanga Pacheco. Well, you can sell Berlanga Pacheco if Berlanga sparks Steve Nelson or beats him better than the way. Because Steve Nelson took Pacheco the distance here in Vegas. So that's where I was coming from. But you're in the game, so what do you think about that trajectory?
I mean, that's some. I see what you're saying, and if Edgar Berlanga, were to spark Steve Nelson or whatever the case is, they're gonna compare performances. You know what I mean? Edgar Berlanga and Pacheco's name, they'll find a way to be attached to some way, and the boxing fans are gonna be speaking. And let's say Berlanga were to spark Steve Nelson in 1 to 3 rounds. I'm like, oh, well, Pacheco had a tough time with Steve Nelson and Berlanga packed him up early. Can Edgar Berlanga beat Diego Pacheco? And that'll bubble up a fight. So I definitely hear what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, look, I don't know. But Turki Al-Sheikh says that, if you let him talk, he said he don't do charity fights. So he told Boost that oh, we don't do charity fights. Oh, you fighting Luis Malima, a top 10 154 pounder with a world title at 154, the IBO junior middleweight title. Oh, that's a charity fight. So it'll be kind of ironic to see Steve Nelson and Edgar Berlanga, because that'll seem like a charity fight for me.
Can I ask you, do you believe that Beterbiev's next fight is sort of a charity fight? I'm not saying that, by the way. I'm not saying it.
It is. It is, and I pointed that out. You know what I'm saying? And Turki Al-Sheikh has historically done, charity fights, by his definition, because by his definition is, fights where it's like, it's not the best fight in the best. You know what I'm saying? Or fights that, boxing fans aren't asking for. And Turki Al-Sheikh has had stat cards before, you know what I mean? But he's also had some tune-ups. Like, you telling me that Anthony Joshua versus Otto Wallen was a desirable fight? Is that's what we doing? Like, I don't know, man. He definitely contradicting himself. But like I said, it'll be kind of funny to see if that were to happen, Berlanga and Steven Nelson on that November 22nd card, because it'll be like, I thought you didn't do charities.
Well, now he would have 2. He would have the start of it, because that's what I was thinking is you start with Berlanga, Steve Nelson, then you go Beterbiev and I'm sorry, Mark, the American's name.
Dion Nicholson?
Yes, thank you. Nicholson, which, by the way, I didn't say he was a charity guy. I got to do more and more on Nicholson. And I was trying to sell Clay on that it could be a tough fight because you never know. It's in Riyadh season and everybody tends to fight harder when you get invited to Riyadh season. Things can happen. And then we get the amazing world title fights on November 22nd. But no, thank you for that perspective, Marcus. Again, you're in the game and you know all of this stuff. So you guys should definitely be checking out Mazuma TV to get more and more knowledge on what's actually happening in the game today.
No doubt, no doubt. That's a fact. I definitely co-sign that. So moving into a fight that might have probably been fight of the night. I mean, which is hard to say. I don't know.
Fight of the year. Fight of the year candidate, bro.
Maybe because it was just amazing. But I mean, it's hard for me to say that because that Terence Crawford Canelo Alvarez card was so amazing. But Christian Embily, Lester Martinez, man, did deliver, man. And I think we kind of saw the writing on the wall with this fight coming up, knowing the kind of fight that Christian Embily was. If there was a question about anybody, maybe Lester Martinez, because maybe most of the people weren't familiar with him that way, really like almost like a pro box kind of level fighter. Gets his big opportunity coming out of that Bomac camp, coming over there, working with Terence Crawford out there in Colorado, getting Terence Crawford ready for the Canelo Alvarez fights, which, by the way, you kind of saw that as well. You can kind of see Lester Martinez's probably was a big help for Terence Crawford in this one. What did you think about that fight, Mar? What you looking at? Somebody said something in the chat?
No, he just disappeared. Like, fuck.
Oh no, he'll be back. He probably just walked out real quick. He got that blue background. But what you going into that Christian Embily fight though, in Lester Martinez, like I said, I felt like the writing was on the wall. Like it was kind of understood that this fight was probably had the potential to be the fight of the year. But man, I mean, 10 rounds of savagery, right? Like, how did you feel about that fight? Well, going into it, first of all, what were you expecting?
Well, I was actually expecting Lester Martinez to pull off the upset. That's personally what I saw because I've been following Lester Martinez for a little while now, and I always thought that he was like one of these guys that should have been talked about more, but just didn't have that, that signature fight yet. So once I heard that he had gotten a fight solidified with Christian Embily, who has a lot of momentum at, arguably like you could say like the top contender at 168 right now, besides like Diego Pacheco and all of them. Christian Embily been ringing bells at super middleweight. So once I seen that Lester had locked that fight in, I said, man, this is gonna be an absolute bloodbath. I said this is gonna be a war because when you look at both of these guys' styles, don't neither one of them want to back up. They want to inflict pain on their opponents. They want to prove that they're the top dog. So once I seen that was going on, and I had watched both of these guys' performances, something just led me to believe that Lester Martinez had the better conditioning. You know what I'm saying? I just felt like Lester Martinez had the better cardio. So I thought that, towards the later rounds that Lester Martinez was going to pull away with the victory. But damn, man, Christian Embily was in a different type of mode, man. The volume punching from Christian Embily's side is like you would think that he tired, then he'll fire off a 6-8 punch combination to the body. Then, like he's not really taking rest in there. Like he's firing in the 10th round, like he's firing in the 3rd round. So it was just absolutely phenomenal to see that type of conditioning, man. Like to build yourself to that point, that's very difficult to do. So that just lets me know that Embily puts us all into these training camps. And Lester Martinez was hitting him with some flush uppercuts, man. Especially on the inside, was just rocking Embily head back time and time and again. Even looked like Embily done got stunned by a few combinations that Lester would throw, but he was just like a unstoppable force, man. He just refused to take whatever Lester Martinez was given, man. Like he refused to lay down. And and Billy was laying some good shots on Lester. You could say they had an effect on Lester as well. And I felt like in the later rounds, Billy proved to have the better gas tank. But it was like I felt like the draw was justifiable because I felt like consistently throughout the fight, nobody was able to really pull away with the win. It's like Lester Martinez start picking up some momentum, then Embily come back and change the whole momentum up, then Lester coming back. So it was like really back and forth to the point where it's like, bro, I don't know how to score these rounds. They gave the judges a really hard time in deciding like who won what because it was just so competitive and so back and forth. So once I heard, the scorecards, y'all can see it right there on my live. I said, this a draw. Because once I seen that one went in Lester's direction and I seen the other one went in Embily's direction, I was like, there's no way that the third judge doesn't have it a draw. I was like, this is 95-95, and that's exactly how they called it. Great fight between the two. I honestly would like to see them do a rematch, but damn, y'all should take the rest of the year off. That was a lot of punishment. That was a lot of punishment. I don't think that you should be doing that frequently, but a rematch between Lester Martinez and Christian Embily is main event worthy, man. Main event worthy or solid co-main event worthy, to be honest with you. I felt like that fight was a lot better than the Fernando Vargas Jr. fight with Callum Walsh, to be honest with you. I don't even know why Callum Walsh had the co-main event outside of being signed with Zuffa Boxing.
That's it.
I didn't really feel like that should have been a fight over Embily and Lester Martinez because, Embily gets talked about more than Callum Walsh. So what are we even talking about? So anyways, I really enjoyed the fight. I thought the draw was justifiable.
Right.
Right.
I feel like the Calum Walsh and Fernando Vargas Jr. fight was a definite plug by Dana White to try to do something with Calum and see if he can cross him over. And Calum is a good boxer, bro, he's got work to do. Yeah. Fernando Vargas, work to do. 154 looks nice with them in it, though. I could see some good matchups in 154 with those guys. But yeah, man, no co-main event. We don't ever need to see that again. As far as go
ahead. Sorry, Clay.
Yeah,
or you go. Yeah, go ahead. Go.
As far as Lester Martinez and Christian Embily was concerned, I had the same concerns as you, Mark. I thought that Embili's conditioning was going to get tested. I expected him to do what he did in those first 3 rounds, right? I expected him to go hard. As soon as that bell rang, he did exactly what I thought he was going to do. He ran across that damn ring and started opening up shots on Lester Martinez. I knew that was coming, but I didn't think he could hold that pace past like the 5th round. I was like, 5th, 6th round, this dude is not going to be able to hold this down. Lester Martinez is going to take his time, pick him apart. I know they got a great strategy over there with Bomac and those guys, and I also know Martinez has the ability to do what Christian Embily does, but probably, in my opinion, I think Martinez has more of a skill set. He has more of an IQ of a pedigree in the boxing space. And Billy's just more like kind of one-dimensional, one-track minded, come forward and do what he does. So a lot of punishment in that fight. Christian Embily shocked me with his conditioning. I was very shocked. Even times he looked real tired in the corner, breathing hard, he still came out and delivered in the ring, though, during the fight. He found a way to find that strength and make it happen. The draw was definitely there. I think I dropped my pen and stopped scoring it after like round 4. I just watched the fight. At that point, I was like, what am I scoring? I don't even know what I'm scoring no more. Somebody, in my opinion, was like, somebody's getting knocked out. So we ain't going to even need these scorecards. These dudes can't hold this up. Punching on each other like this, somebody's going to fade the black. And they didn't. All aboard for a rematch. Well, 100% with you, Mark. Give it a minute, bro. Give it a minute, bro. Because you beat the shit out of each other in that fight. You really beat the shit out of each other. Like, as fun as it was to watch that, the humanity in me is like, heal, brother. Heal, brother.
Humanity.
Go take a couple of cold plunges, spend some time with the family, and see how you feel in like 6 to 8 months, and then let's come back and return to this conversation because there was a lot of punishment in that fight. The draw was an accurate decision. I don't know who I would have given that fight to be all honest with you. I don't know who I would have given it to. So
let me give it to you from the live viewer's perspective, right? To all of you guys. At this point, the arena was packed. Conservatively, at least 65,000. Okay? You have to understand that we who were there had just watched Boachuk versus Brandon Adams, in which we were all like, oh, that's fight of the night, possibly. Even though Brandon Adams was winning, it was such a phone booth style fight, right? So the people on the row, the Crawford fans who remember, Clay, how I was so hard on everybody where I kept saying Crawford's bigger, Crawford's stronger, he's going to destroy, he's got a better sparring partners, right? I looked at the dude who didn't believe me when I said, you should bet the plus 900 on Crawford knockout, which didn't happen. But again, we'll talk about that as to why. But I said, see that guy right there, Lester Martinez? Most people don't know him. That's the Guatemalan Canelo. Mm-hmm. And he's younger. And he's the guy that's been giving rounds to Crawford. When you watch him fight this killer in Embily, you're going to understand why I keep telling you guys that Crawford, he's not the smaller guy. He's not the guy who doesn't punch harder. He's the guy. Canelo's going to have to make sure he goes up. So I'm going to do this as a double takes because I don't think we need to spend too much time on Caleb Walsh and all respect to Fernando Vargas. Yeah. So Fernando Vargas Jr. But basically, Caleb Walsh, Fernando Vargas Jr., as we talked about before, Mark, in this show, this was a show for the average, I never even really watch boxing fans to see. And they want to introduce a Irish American sort of superstar. And this won't shock you, Mark. I was there with Irish fans too, like people who flew from Ireland. They don't know who the hell Caleb Walsh is. He isn't even that popular to them, right? So he's more of and you know, again, Freddie Roach is doing a good job building him up. Dana White loves the kid. All good, all fine. And him fighting Fernando Vargas Jr., fair match. Somebody's had to go kind of thing. Good for them. But co-main event worthy to us, the purists. We knew Lester Martinez versus Christian Embily was going to be a war like that. And after the first round, I looked at the row and I said, if this goes the distance, I am going to lose my mind. Someone's getting knocked out. Then it gets to the third, and I'm like, someone is definitely getting knocked out. There's no way this is going the distance. Then it gets to the fifth, and you can feel the arena going, what are we watching? What are we all watching right now? This is insane. And then you would just see this. Martinez would go, bop, bop, bop. And then Embily would go, bop, 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 bop. And then Martinez would go, no, bop, bop, bop. And it would just like bang, 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 bang. For it to go the entire 10 rounds, let me just say that there are very few fights when I'm trying to introduce boxing to someone who's never watched it before. And I told you this, Clay, when we've had our private conversations. I said, this is how you will find out if someone is going to be a lifelong boxing fan or not. And these are the fights they must watch. I told you Thrilla and Manila, right? Remember that?
Right.
I said
Muhammad Ali.
Yep. Ali Frazier. Yes, sir. Ali Frazier 3 was a war. And if you could watch all 14 rounds of that and not fall in love with boxing, then you'll never be a boxing fan. All right?
Right.
Hagler Hearns. If you can't watch that 3-round war and not love boxing after that, I don't know what to tell you, right? Diego Corrales versus Jose Luis Castillo. If you can't watch that fight and the drama of that fight, the Rocky moment of that fight, and not fall in love with boxing, I don't know what to tell you. Don't know what to tell you. George Foreman versus Ron Lyle, bro. If you want to talk about the real life rock'em sock'em robots with heavyweights and knockdowns, if you can't watch that, I don't know what to tell you. And of course, you'll hear about the Gotti Ward because Gotti Ward's always brought up, right? I always bring up, as you know, boxing history, Reyes, when I'm on this. I think Aaron Pryor versus Arguello, the first one, doesn't get enough credit because remember, again, that was supposed to be a 15-round war, and the ebb and flow of that fight was violent, brother. It was so violent if you watch Arguello Pryor. But in my list now, having been there live, I have to put Embily Lester Martinez. I have to. So I don't know about you, Mark, and how you feel about this, but that's now in that list for me. Embily Lester Martinez is within that Corrales Castillo list. It's in that Hagler Hearns list because I honestly believed in the live audience that we all felt, when is someone going to get knocked out? When is someone going to get knocked out? When is someone going to get knocked out? And for it to get to the final, when they said draw, no one was upset because that scorecard was all over the place. And it was 97-93 for Martinez, 96-94 for Embily. 95. You know, and I agree with you both. For the humanity of these two gentlemen, please, man, take a break, please.
Take a couple cold plunges, man. Get that inflammation down, bro, because y'all caught the beats. The beats was on there. So now let's get into the meat and potatoes, and let's talk about the era-defining historical event that we watch happen, and that may have reshaped many a boxing fan's perspective on boxing, understanding on boxing. And I think it's fair to say the sweet science was on showcase last night, and we got to see how brains and brawns gets inside of the ring, stylistically match up against each other, and who end up coming up. I already spoke on it a lot, right? Reyes, you spoke on it a lot, right? You spoke on it, the moment, the feeling, the emotions. But me and Marcus had a conversation the day before, 2 days before. Was it 2 days or was it the day before? It was probably 2 days before, right? It was right before. And Mazuma was basically becoming very interested in the fight, right? A fight that wasn't that interesting in the beginning, didn't really catch him, was starting to grow on your spirit, right? You started to see possibilities. You saw a performance with Canelo Alvarez and William Skull. You started to see some, okay, man, he's slowing down a little bit. You know what I mean? You might have seen a couple of face-offs, and you were like, you know what? Terence is not as small as everybody's saying he is in comparison to Canelo. Hold on. This thing is becoming very interesting. Oh, man, there's some pictures popping out of Terence Crawford with no shirt on. He looking like he kind of diesel a little bit. Wait, hold up. Wait. This guy is supposed to be a smaller guy. This guy is supposed to be having all these intangibles that are going to be working against him. And it does seem like these things are starting to become debunked, and the playing field is becoming more and more leveled as we get closer and closer to this fight. Going into the fight last night, first of all, did you see the walkout?
Yeah.
What did you think of the Desperado walkout, bro? How'd you feel about the Desperado walkout, bro? Talk to me.
I think he fooled the whole arena because for some reason people thought that was Canelo who was about to walk out, or they thought that music was for Canelo. So I heard a whole bunch of cheering. Then when Bud came out, then it was like, yeah, boo! They like switched it all up. So he definitely fooled the fans. Definitely was trolling the fans with that one. But he had like the Desperado outfit with the guitar and all that. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, man. Creative, and I think it hit.
Yeah.
I don't think, it's like when you make a plan, you hope it hits. Well, I'm going to come out like this, and I think everybody bit. Everybody was like, I was like, what's going on? Canelo coming out first? Or is this what I said to myself is Canelo's not coming out first. First, I'm like, why would Canelo come out first? He's the champion. But I was like, oh, man, Turkey doing this concert-ish again, bro. He's bringing out performances. He's dragging this out. It's almost 1 a.m. Come on, bro. Don't do this to me, bro. I just want to see the fight at this point. But to see Terence Crawford at the end of that tunnel with the guitar case, walking into the ring, I was like, in that moment, I'm going to be real with you, I said, oh, shit, Terence about to whoop this dude's ass. That's what I said. In my mind, I said, because you know what I thought? I said, it's going to be an unpredictable night. That's what I said to myself. I said, oh, shit. He's about to whoop his ass. So, and he walked fast to the ring, by the way. Very fast walk to the ring. I thought he got to the ring in no time at all. Okay, that being said, Canelo had a pretty good entrance as well, right? He had his band singing. It was a good entrance. I thought it was like a movie type of atmosphere in the arena, right? Like it was like a Rocky movie or something, like a movie like the final boss. Like, you know what I mean? Like it just had that feeling about it. So let's go into it as far as mentality going into this fight, Mark. Mentality going into this fight at this point. Both these fighters are in the ring. What are you looking for as a with that trained eye that you have? What are you looking for in that first round? What are you saying to yourself? I need to see this. I need to see this in order for me to get a better understanding of what's going to happen in this fight. What are you looking for?
Well, for one, when that first bell rang, I said, okay, let's see what Terence Crawford's bringing to the table. I'm not necessarily concerned with what Canelo's bringing because I know what he's bringing. He's been at 168 for a long time, and a lot of his fights and his approaches to those fights have, been the same. So I wasn't necessarily too concerned about what Canelo was doing. So I was focused in on Bud. I said, all right, let's see where that speed at, because I knew that he was going to utilize that jab. You know, when you're dealing with somebody who's a pressure fighter like Canelo, you know, who's looking to come forward and walk you to the ropes, you definitely want to have that jab. And that jab was snapping. The jab was quick. The jab looked strong. Beautiful technique behind the jab, man. He was pushing off the back foot to really get some power behind it. So that looked well. Then, you know, of course, I wanted to see where the legs was at. So then once I seen him start, you know, utilizing his movement and stuff like that, you know, I seen that, you know, Canelo Alvarez was constantly resetting, trying to catch up to him. So I was like, oh, okay, that's pretty good to see. Terence Crawford has a superior feet, you know, foot speed. I said, you know, Canelo Alvarez needs to do something, because if not, it's going to be a long night. Then, you know what I mean? I'm seeing Canelo Alvarez rip these hooks to the body. Canelo Alvarez has a really sneaky lead hook to the body, man, that a lot of people have a hard time timing or at least defending. And he hit Bud with some flush body shots in the very beginning of the fight, especially the straight right hand. The straight right hand was making this mark to the body along with the left hook to the body. And he started checking things off of my list immediately. I said, okay, the footwork is there. His feet is underneath him. Okay, his punch resistance is there, because I didn't really see him fold or show any type of crazy or negative body language when he was getting hit with big shots. The speed was there, and you could tell that he definitely had some power behind his punches as well, because you know, Canelo Alvarez was really thinking twice before he walked, you know, into, you know, Crawford's range. You know what I mean? The only thing that was really standing out to me, the only thing that was that left me wondering was where his conditioning was at. You see what I mean? So yeah, that's what I was looking for in the first round, and he started checking things off for me immediately.
Yeah, that's what I noticed too. He was definitely checking the boxes for me immediately. He was answering the call immediately. He was not allowing too much to the imagination, and I think a lot of that was him also speaking to Canelo, right? I think he let Canelo know early, yeah, bro, we fighting. We boxing, we fighting, we doing a lot. And he debunked all he's going to be too big for Terence Crawford. He debunked it very early and let Canelo know to put his boxing cap on. Put your boxing cap on and show and prove, because it's going down. Go ahead.
So I'll tell you, Clay, this is what makes me so happy, because everybody, you know, as you know, like you and Marcus, when the fight was getting close, there's like, what's your official prediction, Angelo? And all I sent them was the 60-second clip of you, me, and Ray on the show. When I said on record, and y'all, I'll send it to everybody else too. I said, when this fight starts, here's what's going to happen. Crawford's going to say, I'm the bigger guy. I'm the stronger guy. You're going to need to figure out how to fight me, not the other way around. And did it not happen exactly as I predicted?
Yeah,
and
I gotta say that that it was there to a degree, right? Like what I saw mainly was he made it clear that you're not going to bully me. That's not what you don't have that advantage on me. I do feel like he was respecting Canelo's power a little bit, and he was being careful. The jab was sharp. And he was also making sure his back stayed off the ropes. He made sure that he stayed out of any type of dangerous spaces where Canelo could capitalize off of planting his feet. That's what I noticed, that he wasn't going to allow Canelo Alvarez to plant his feet. Like, that's what he wanted to make sure. Like, I'm going to do my thing, but I don't want you planting your feet and letting shots rip.
So check this out. Remember when we did that show and I was kind of breaking down like how ring is like a chessboard, right? When I was there live, I was explaining to everybody. They were like, you know, what's going on? Why isn't Canelo blank? And I said, because you could already see, what did Crawford already do? He established range. He's saying, no, we're fighting at my range today. We're not fighting at your range today.
Exactly.
We're fighting at my range today. And every time you think you can get into my range, bow. Here's what the right hand feels like. I ain't Erzlan Lara, bro. I'm not even Gennady Golovkin.
Yeah.
No, every time in Canelo, like that language, every time Canelo, you want to step to me, your inertia is going to run into this jab. How'd that feel?
He humbled his spirit. He made him. He tamed him like a wild horse. He took that confidence and that aggression out of him, and he said, "Nah, hold up." He just You know what I mean? That equestrian energy, right? He's like,
Right.
no, bad dog.
Right.
Stay there. We're gonna walk like bad. No, trained him. He got him. He's like the dog whisperer in there and got that boy to humble himself and then slowed the fight down and didn't allow Canelo Alvarez to get any kind of momentum and build any type of pace that Canelo could feel like he was in charge of what was going on inside that ring. It was beautiful.
Now remember during that whole breakdown when we were talking about it, I said, and again I held strong on my prediction even when we were there live. I said 6th or 7th round was my prediction that that Crawford would knock him out or stop him is what I was saying. He'll stop him because the power would have been established and he's gonna pick up the pace and he's gonna show Canelo, look, man, now I'm gonna start going heavy on you, bang, 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 right? So I was right, because if you watched it as every round progressed, that problem-solving ability that Canelo only has that one style of that I was saying. Remember, Clay? I said the thing about Canelo is he fights the one style. It's like a knuckleball. It's good, bro, but Crawford's got Chinese knives and Filipino sticks, and he's got too many things, and it's gonna throw it off. Once Crawford knew you got to see 4, then you got to see 5. What did Crawford do? Round 6, round 7. Rewatch it. He was like, now let's go. Now let's
wait, but that being said, right? That being said, at what point, Mark, do you feel like was there a point in the fight where you felt like confident at that point in understanding what you were watching, right? Like Crawford's better than Canelo. He's going to win this fight. Like, was there a point or were you just with the whole fight all the way to the end, not knowing what's going to happen? Was there a point in the fight where you like, there's levels to this game and Crawford is separating himself? Where did you start to see the separation inside that ring?
I seen the separation really early. I was just surprised that it was that easy, to be honest with you. I thought that Canelo Alvarez was going to provide a little bit more resistance. I thought that Crawford would have, went through more things in the ring. You see what I mean? I thought that he would have ran into some more shots, but it just seemed like every aspect that was being introduced in the ring, Bud was just better than him at. Whether we talking about the jab, even when the counter punch and the timing, the defense, the footwork, the lateral or whatever you want to call it, lateral movement. Like it was just, and Canelo was being controlled so easily. It was like Bud was like, all right, I want to fight this way. So this how we're going to do it this way. I'm gonna beat you on the inside whenever I sit in the pocket with you. I'm gonna box you at range. I'm gonna run you in the shots. I'm gonna punch in between your wide hooks. Like it was nothing. And he was like, all right, you can throw your big shots, but I'm gonna make sure that you don't hit me clean with them. Like it's just whatever Bud wanted to do in that moment. He dominated. He dominated in every aspect. I just thought that Canelo Alvarez, and you could tell that he was training different. You could tell he worked really hard in this camp because he didn't really look as tired as he usually did, like in the Dimitri Bivol fight and other fights where like he was fatigued, like in the mid rounds, like the gas tank was there, the conditioning was there. It was a skill set thing. You know what I mean? It was just Terence Crawford being a few steps ahead of him and throughout the entire course of the fight. That's just what it looked like. And it was such a skill, it was such a gap and skill set that Terence Crawford was literally fighting Canelo's fight at certain points and was getting the better of it. I forgot I think it was the 9th round where Bud literally was just punching a combination, snapping Canelo head back, and then Canelo was like, all right, I finally got him where I want him, and then he was trying to load up on bombs, and he still wasn't touching Crawford. So Crawford was making him miss with the footwork. He was making him miss, off of the ropes with his catching, and like he defended. He neutralized Canelo every way that you could think of. All of Canelo Alvarez's best tools, he took it away from him. I ain't gonna lie, he made Canelo look like an average fighter.
And to your point, Marcus. Sorry, go ahead. I was
gonna say there was some frustration there from Canelo that you started to see him showing it, and
right, because
I felt that was coming.
He had what? He had no solutions.
100%. Right. He was just frustrated with himself. He was frustrated. And I think he was also frustrated because he knew it wasn't because Terence was running or Terence was being evaded. He knew that it was he was he's timing me and he keeps catching me with these It's not necessarily hurting me, but it's stinging me. And every time it's my turn to respond, he turns me, or he ends up over here, or he hits me with a jab. Even while I'm trying to think and I'm trying to slow the fight down. And
Go ahead.
Like there was a chemistry going in there. Like when Canelo wanted to push the pace, Terence would slow the fight down. When Canelo tried to slow it down, Terence would turn it up. And it was just like opposite every single time. Like I want to slow it down. Damn it, he just stuck me with a jab. Damn it. Oh, I'm coming at him now. Now he's moving. You could see Canelo, like you said, the answers weren't there. He had no answers, Sway. There just was no answers for him, and the frustration was starting to settle in because I think it was an understanding that the rounds were just were just ticking away. It was just one round after another going, and we're getting this much closer to the 12th round, and I have no idea of how I'm going to approach to get this guy to cooperate long enough for me to do something significant.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And Clay, again, I'm doing my best, man. I don't know if they're still here. I'm doing my best. Who is the only one on the ATP Combat Media Show that is not surprised that Crawford whooped that ass exactly the way I thought it would happen, man? I knew it.
Well, I wasn't surprised. I'm not surprised.
No, I know, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I was so confident, bro, that I wasn't even nervous. And there were points in that fight, and you could attest to this, Marcus, where, like Marcus had said, there were points where Crawford was having fun. And you, Clay, watching it on TV, you were like, "Nah, bro, don't have too much fun."
Right. I got in that ninth round that Marcus talking about, Mazuma, that ninth round when you said I got nervous. I was like, bro, don't do it. Don't get too happy. You're doing it too much. You got this fight. Don't do this.
You know what's crazy, Clay? I was worried, but I wasn't worried for Bud. I was like, yo, Canelo is about to get clipped. That's what I was thinking. Because the way that Bud was loading up on them punches, bro, I was like,
he was loading up on him, Marcus.
They were fast too. Cause I know I knew Canelo wasn't going to see. I said, bro, we about to see Canelo hit the canvas for the first time.
Yes. And Marcus, in the arena, we felt that energy. We were like, we're about to see it. We're about to see Canelo get dropped. Oh my God.
Yeah, bro.
And then there was a headbutt, right? Which
yes,
stopped the momentum a little bit, right? There was a headbutt
on purpose
that came out of. I'm glad you are. I want to know.
I'm glad you brought it up, Marcus.
I want to know what the opinion is on it. He kind of already shared it, but then there was the headbutt, right? Came out conveniently out of nowhere. Boop. Terence Crawford feels it. He reacts to it accordingly, and he kind of had that look on his face, like, really? We're gonna do that? We're gonna do that right now. And he's looking at the referee like, you seen, hey, bro, we're gonna let this slide. In the replay, I'm not gonna lie to you, I wasn't too sure how intentional it was, but I'm definitely interested in your opinion on it. You kind of shared a little bit, but how did you feel about the headbutt when it came? And did you feel like, were you worried that it might affect the rest of the fight, the way the fight was going to go at the point? Did it take away some of the momentum? Did you worry that it might have been a turning point, that Canelo was going to be able to capitalize off of it? Was Bud going to get angry? Was it going to change the emotion in the fight? How did you feel about the headbutt when it happened?
I mean, that's probably the cleanest shot he landed on Bud the whole time. So, but I think, to be honest with you, I just thought that played part. No, all jokes aside, I think that just played into the frustration. You know what I'm saying? I just thought that Canelo was really frustrated. He couldn't really establish himself in the fight. Crawford was neutralizing all of his good qualities. So, you know what I mean? I think he resorted to some type of roughhouse tactics and ended up creating a cut as a result of it. But once I seen how small the cut was, you know what I mean? I know how the way cut men work. I said that's going to be an easy job in the corner for the cut man. So I wasn't necessarily, concerned or anything like that. But I do feel like it did affect Bud, in that same round, because it seemed like he had trouble seeing at some points during the round, and Canelo was landing some things on Bud, and I think it wasn't because Bud was being negligent of his defense or anything like that. I think it was because he had trouble seeing out of that eye in that moment.
Yeah, and in the arena, that, to be honest, I felt like because 90% of them were all rocking for Canelo, 85-90%, that even disappointed them. They were like, "Oh, bro, you getting your ass beat so bad, you got to cheat." Oh man, and you could feel their energy deflated because they knew their guy was done. They knew he was cooked, right? And like what I was saying to Clay earlier is, I felt like my prediction of Crawford by stoppage knockout, where either Eddie Reynoso was going to throw in the towel or a referee was just going to say this is just too much. The reason why it didn't happen was because of the headbutt, and it's not necessarily so much the cut, Marcus, in sense of I don't know if at that point Crawford maybe had double vision, or I don't know if maybe he was kind of like, nah, I got to kind of shake this off. And also, you know that yes, it isn't a big cut, but we've seen cuts like that all of a sudden get bigger if you get careless. And I think that that's more what Crawford was doing. Like to your point, he didn't get defensively careless, but combine that with, oh my God, man, I'm so far ahead at this point. I don't really need to take any more risks. So I'm going to go ahead and hit him with my power shots when he's available. Other than that, you noticed, Clay, how Crawford would like let the body shot parry off of his arm, right? And then quick counter. Or like he was just more like, all right, I'm going to play the game because I know I'm ahead by 20. And I'm not going to not try, like how De La Hoya kind of moved away from Trinidad. Mm-hmm. And that's why I spoke to the point that when my wife was watching, and she said she really appreciated how Bomac was telling Bud, I believe you're winning, but this is close. Like this could be close, right? And I love that honesty when you spoke about who had the better team, because that honesty honestly needs, and this, Marcus, it needs to be said to a fighter, because it's all problem solving when you're in there. And you can't just get rah-rah'd, man. Somebody got to tell you the truth. Hey, I believe you're winning 8-1, but how the hell do I know what these judges are thinking? You might want to step it up a little. So, yeah, that's definitely what ruined my prediction of knockout. But Crawford was taxing that ass, bro.
Oh, he definitely was. So the headbutt happens, and that's a good little segue as well, because I also wanted to address that as well. I'm glad you brought it up, because I do address the team, and I feel like boxing is a understated team sport. Even though we got two fighters fighting in the ring, I spoke to Mark about this the last time we spoke on the show, and I asked your opinion about the whole team concept and the idea of that corner work, and Bomac's role in this fight and Eddie Reynoso's role in this fight. Did you see anything, and did you pay attention to anything that was significant or profound about what the corner was doing? And you attribute some of that work inside that ring to the corner work? Like, do you feel like Bomac's presence was felt? Was Eddie Reynoso's presence felt? How'd you feel about that fight between the trainers? Yo, you're muted. Sorry
about that. I like how StreamYard notified me too. That was actually pretty cool. But no, but to be honest with you, man, I was doing a live fight party, so I wasn't really listening too much to like the commentary or what the cornerman was saying. But I did hear certain things that they were saying at the same time. And I heard Bomac and Lester Martinez corner, and Bomac is always giving good instructions. You know what I mean? Specifically in the Terence Crawford corner, Bomac was pretty much saying, like, you know what I mean? Like, and the thing about Bomac is his advice is very sound, and he's not like one of those coaches where be like, oh, you need to throw more punches. He tell you what punches you need to throw and how the way you need to throw them. So when he was speaking on Terence Crawford, he was saying how he wanted him to, be a little bit more authoritative with his jab, and he was telling him how to be more authoritative. He said, man, get on the ball of that back foot, and you know what I mean, push off the back foot so you can get more power on that jab. I mean, that's textbook, but it's something that Terence Crawford may want to hear, because when your mind is moving a million miles a second, you know what I mean? That's what the cornerman is supposed to bring, those little simple instructions to you to get your head back in the game. You know what I'm saying? So I heard that Eddie Reynoso, he was really calm in the corner. That was pretty much telling, Canelo Alvarez, man, like, you gotta I heard him say that you gotta use your jab more and then bring the right hook over the jab and things like that. So that might not have been something that had worked, but I appreciate him as a coach, actually giving his fighters like certain things to look for in the ring, instead of just being like, oh, you need to let your punches go. Oh man, you need to beat him up. Oh, you know what I mean? Because that type of coaching, man, like that can't, I guess you know, if you have that type of relationship with your fighter and they understand what you mean by that, then whatever. But at the same time, man, I feel like coaches need to stay calm in the corner for the sake of the fighter's mental. And then on top of that, you need to provide clear instructions so they can know how to move and, you know, put themselves in the best possible position to win the following round. So, I mean, that's what I noticed.
And let me speak.
That relationship is definitely paramount, especially in the big shows, right? The big shows when you're fighting these type of fights. That team really makes a difference, I think, and really helps in the mentality and the psychology of the fighters that are in the ring. So Eddie Reynoso on one side, just to give my opinion, what I was seeing, Eddie Reynoso, you know, really not having the answers, in my opinion. Like, you know, I think he's a good trainer. Obviously, he's taking Canelo this far, but there was questions for me as to who this guy really was, because I knew that Bomac and Terence Crawford were going to give Canelo these looks. They were going to give him the issues, and it was going to be up to Eddie Reynoso to really help Canelo adjust to what was happening in that ring and giving some sound advice that was going to make the fight competitive. So Eddie Reynoso's advice was really on more, in my opinion, watching it was more like press the issue, press it harder, press the gas harder. And that just wasn't the answer, because it was kind of like Godzilla a little bit. You know, I hate to jump into Godzilla, but Godzilla, you shoot the energy at him, he soaks up the energy, it makes him stronger. When he shoots at you, he's just letting you have everything you've been giving him. It's just building up, and it was seeming like Terence was able to capitalize off that. The more aggression, the more pushy Canelo became, the more susceptible Canelo became to the power of Terence Crawford. It was a bad situation. But on the other side, I do believe that you were looking at a Bomac that was keeping Terence Crawford grounded in the game. He wasn't allowing him to get away, even though there was a victory there and he was doing well and he was winning these rounds. And there was an argument to say that he was winning comfortably with a decent lead. Bomac never allowed that to get in Terence Crawford's head. Every time Terence Crawford came back to that ring, good job, champ. But we need to, you know what I'm saying, pay attention, take your time, let your hands go, have a good time in there, but pay attention. He always let him know, like you said, Angelo, at one point, or if it was you or somebody else who said at one point, he kind of was letting Terence know, like, hey, man, I think you ahead. I don't know. So we don't want to play it. We need to win these next rounds. We need to win these rounds. We need to take everything we can get, because you know what we're fighting this uphill battle against. And the corner work was really, really A1 from Bomac's side. I thought Eddie Reynoso was like a fish out of water. He didn't really know how to deal with it, bro. I'm gonna be real with you. Eddie Reynoso didn't really know how to deal with the issues that Canelo was dealing with. He just kept on trying to motivate him to stick to a plan that was failing miserably.
Right.
With you. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Marcus. Go ahead.
I'll say this real quick. This fight right here just got Bomac into the International Boxing Hall of Fame too.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, facts. No, facts. So I was going to speak on what both of you guys were saying. First of all, it is refreshing to see two high-level coaches not do the "you're a fireman" speech. And again, shout out to Teddy Atlas. You're amazing. But sometimes I feel like those are more for the fans at home than the mainstream. That looks exciting. That sounds exciting. You're a fireman. You're a fireman, Clay. And we go into the fire. I get it. Hey, man, I get it. At the same time, I think we're seeing an era in where these two gentlemen who are in the pound-for-pound list, these two gentlemen who are going to be in the Hall of Fame, these two gentlemen we'll be talking about as two of the greatest we've ever seen. They don't need the rah-rah speech, man.
Right.
They need to just, hey, man, tell me what to do. They need an Andy Reid. You know what I'm saying? Right? Like they need that. What's the playbook, coach? Right? And this is where I remember, Clay, I kept telling you with the show, I want us to be careful. I want us to protect this legacy of a fight. I don't think Eddie Reynoso is a bad coach, more than I believe that Terence Crawford had a better team. Eddie Reynoso is a great coach. Eddie Reynoso himself will make it into the Hall of Fame as a coach, right? What he's done with Canelo, we cannot take away. all the people that Canelo has beaten, we cannot take away. All the people that Canelo has fought in fighting Mayweather and going for greatness and stepping up to 175 to fight the best pound for pound 175-pound fighter in the world currently today in Dimitri Bivol. We cannot take it away. And one of the biggest reasons why I want to protect it, Clay, is all that happened is we saw the greatness that you and I and Marcus have always known about Terence Crawford. And the only difference is he wasn't being shown to as many eyes as Canelo was. Right. That was the only difference. If Crawford had the same promotional backing that Canelo had, everyone would love Crawford the same way they love Canelo, maybe even more. So let's not take that away. Let's not start saying on the chat, oh, well, Canelo just had a bad night. No. Canelo had one of the greatest nights of his life, and the only thing that happened is the same thing we watched in the Super Bowl when the Eagles beat the crap out of the Chiefs. Eagles was just a better team. And no one believed that, by the way, Clay, except me, who actually predicted it on a podcast, the exact score and the exact way the Eagles were going to destroy the Chiefs. Because when you do an eye test, brother, like we did with Bud Crawford, none of us ever said he wasn't the more skilled fighter. None of us ever said that he didn't have more tools than Canelo. The only thing we ever really said was the size thing. We don't know what we don't know, right? But leading up to fight week, what did I keep saying? I saw it when he landed on the plane. I was like, he's totally bigger. He's totally bigger than we were all looking at this the wrong way. So man, no. Shout out to those two, man. Shout out to those two teams, to all the people that kept saying, oh, well, Canelo's going to work the body early. No, Bud Crawford worked the body early. And Bud Crawford worked the body so well that Canelo's power got diminished, right? Which is why Crawford took the gamble that he did later in the round. So shout out to both. It was a legacy fight. Both of them will be in the Hall of Fame. But I do want to bring this up, Clay, because we got to go with what do we do now moving forward. I'm going to be biased when I say this because I was there, but it's going to be very difficult for me to not talk about Terence Crawford in one of the greatest pound-for-pound fighters I've ever seen in my lifetime now. Because I can be, historically speaking, I can try to argue this point and that point, but bro, I was there. And to watch this man win 3 undisputed weight divisions. I love you, Manny Pacquiao. I do. But I might have to put Bud Crawford on top now.
Oh, yes.
Just because, man. But I can argue it either way, as you know, Clay. I can debate. But man, what I saw, bro, in the masterclass, I'm sorry. 3 weight undisputed in the 4-belt era. I've never seen it. In fact, let me ask the panel this question. Marcus, do you believe you'll ever see that again? A fighter that can go 3 weight classes above, like what, be undisputed in one, be undisputed in the other, and be undisputed in the other?
That's a great question. I don't know. But one thing I do know is that based off of what Bud just did last night, that's definitely going to encourage people to try that. I think that Terence Crawford has been very influential throughout his career, just starting with the whole undisputed thing in itself, because, you know, prior to Bud becoming undisputed at 140, that wasn't something that people were too particularly interested in doing because they was just following Floyd Mayweather's blueprint, you know what I mean, and just getting the money and, you know, making these big super fights and stuff like that. But Terence Crawford took it upon himself to be like, you know what, being the competitor that he is. And I found it funny how Max Kellerman was comparing his mentality to Michael Jordan. I swear I was the first one saying that shit. But anyway.
Max is on Mazuma. Let me find out Max at Mazuma TV.
I wouldn't be surprised. I just got worried that somebody was watching my channel and they one of the biggest people, you know, on the boxing circuit. But anyways, Terence Crawford was like, you know what? Being the competitor that I am, I don't want no other champions in the division besides myself. So let me go ahead and get all these belts. And, you know, when he defeated Julius Ndongo, he was able to accomplish that. And shortly afterwards, then you seen everybody else doing it. You know what I mean? We seen Devin Haney do it. We seen Naoya Inoue do it. We seen Alexander Usyk do it. And, you know, the trend went on and on and on and on, especially on the female side of boxing as well. You know what I'm saying? Then, well, yeah, he's been very influential in that situation right there. Ever since then, everybody's been wanting to collect all of the belts. You feel what I mean? Now he did something else, attempted to become two-time. He became two-time undisputed, and everybody else started following that and starting to become two-time undisputed. Now he became 3 times, so that's going to motivate people to want to become undisputed in every weight class that they go into. And the way that he was able to move up 3 weight classes, 3 weight classes, whatever you want to call it, to defeat somebody and become undisputed, that's going to encourage more people to dare to be great and take on these challenges against these big champions so they can accomplish something that Bud accomplished. I think he's been very influential. I think people are going to follow his lead, and I think eventually somebody's going to be successful in doing so. So it's possible. It can happen.
How about you, Clay? You think somebody will ever be able to do what Bud Crawford just did moving into the future?
I definitely think somebody will be able to do it. And I'm gonna add on to or piggyback off of what Mark was saying, man. I think the inspiration is clear, and that's what I wanted to happen. I wanted something like this to happen, and I thought that was why it was so important for me that Bud did win this fight. You know, it was a lot more to gain off the back end of Terence Crawford walking away with a victory than Canelo Alvarez getting a victory. We just benefit more as far as a boxing space off of something like that being accomplished, becoming a 3 weight class undisputed champion. Terence Crawford is a trendsetter. He's an era-defining fighter. He will be talked about and etched into the history books forever. You will never be able to take away what he's done or accomplished, no matter how much you try to discredit, talk about his resume. It doesn't matter. Like Bud said to Crawford's face, to Canelo's face, he said, when I beat your ass, when I stomp a mud hole in your ass, when I stomp a mud hole in your butt, hey, when I stop a mud hole in your behind, you're gonna be a nobody too. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna be on that list of nobodies too. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you think. Terence Bud Crawford is the era-defining fighter. I have a question though for you guys. I want to spin it around to the young bull. Salute to the young bull, man. He never got nothing to say. Always just chilling, bro. But them eyes,
man, that's your twin right there, Marcus.
Yeah,
oh my gosh.
You know what he loved to do though? He loved to stare at you like you stupid when you're annoying him. Like he catches you getting his feelings, and he just like to read you, bro, and just have you get yourself together. He just look at you and he's just like, get yourself together, bro.
Man, he be talking.
You supposed to be the grown one in here. I need you to get it together because you're doing a lot, bro.
He's the one telling us. I told you Crawford was gonna tell us.
He's like, you grown up sometimes. Heh. I don't know about you guys. Anyway, that being said, though, I got a question for you guys, though. I got into a little debate with Blue Blood last night, and I wanted to know what you guys think about this debate we had. I said, I believe Terence Crawford beat the better Canelo Alvarez between Dimitri Bivol and Floyd Mayweather. Those
100%.
I feel like Terence Crawford beat
100%
better Canelo Alvarez.
100%.
The argument was with Floyd, he was more athletic, he was younger, he was more he was more of a athletically gifted fighter. I'm like, all right. Then the argument with Dimitri Bivol was, you know what I'm saying? Well, there was really no argument for Dimitri Bivol. Really,
he moved. No. There's an argument for Dimitri Bivol because that's the first time he really went up to 175 to challenge the best at 175.
Right. But
so that's not really his weight class.
I think there's just excuses there, though, right? There's asterisks there to say the loss isn't as bad because he was challenging himself. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, it's like, he dared to be great. He lost, but he dared to be great.
Right.
I said the Canelo Alvarez that fought Terence Crawford was the more well-rounded fighter, the more experienced fighter, the fighter who been in there with the most champions. He became undisputed. He was a multiple division champion. He had a Floyd Mayweather. He had a
better
Floyd
shape.
And stronger, bigger, stronger in his backyard. He had the experience of fighting Floyd Mayweather on his resume. He had the experience of a Shane Mosley, of a Miguel Cotto. He had the Erislandy Lara. He had the Triple G fights. He had the Dimitri Bivol fight. He had the Kovalev fight. He had all these fights under his belt, and he had all that experience, and I believe he brought that to the table, and that Canelo Alvarez was a bigger threat, was a better fighter, was a better boxer, was a more intelligent, experienced fighter against Terence Crawford. Where do you guys stand? Well, I mean, I see where you stand, Angelo. Where do you stand on that, Mark? Mark, on that conversation. Which Canelo Alvarez was the better Alvarez between the Floyd Mayweather and the Terence one? Which victory is more significant?
I feel like Terence Crawford's victory. Wait, say that again. You said the question.
Who was the better Canelo Alvarez? The one that fought against Floyd Mayweather or the one that fought against Terence Crawford?
The one that faced Terence Crawford was the better Canelo Alvarez, because even though he may have a point that Canelo Alvarez was younger and more athletic, neither one of them necessarily means that you know, just because he was more athletic doesn't mean that he was better. Just because he was younger doesn't necessarily mean that he's better. You know what I mean? Terence Crawford fought the more experienced Canelo Alvarez, who fought elite level guys consistently throughout his career, especially after the Mayweather fight. He beat a Canelo Alvarez that, you know what I mean? Was at the top of the throne at 168 pounds. You see what I'm saying? When Canelo was, I believe he was a champion when he fought Floyd, but he was still that young green guy on the come up that Floyd fought and pretty much took advantage of. You feel what I'm saying? Because he knew in the skill set department he was significantly better. You know, when Terence Crawford went and faced Canelo Alvarez was a two-time undisputed champion at super middleweight. And, you know, I know he done ducked some guys, you know what I'm saying? But for the most part, he had the division on lock for years. You know, ever since he had defeated Caleb Plant, he done had the division in a headlock. And it took Terence Crawford to move up 2 to 3 weight classes in order to change that whole thing around. And change the whole landscape of super middleweight. So if anybody beat a better version of Canelo Alvarez, it's Terence Crawford, because I think that version that Terence Crawford faces is more dangerous than the version that Floyd Mayweather faced.
Yep. And let me drive that home and piggyback off of Marcus and Clay. I don't know what Blue Blood. I love you, bro, but I don't know why you would argue against Clay on this point. It's clear as day.
The whole
all right?
was against me. They would crucify me, bro. Those only
I wish I was there with you, bro. I would have backed you up so bad. First of all, again, and this is one of the reasons why, Clay, when you bring me on and people don't like some of the things I say, I'm just talking facts. All right. So factually speaking, number one, I was literally ringside Floyd Mayweather, Canelo. I'll tell you why that wasn't the better Canelo. Canelo's dumb team asked for it to be at 152. You know, like, so right away, it's like, all right, so weight drain Canelo, if you want to say weight drain Canelo, right? Secondly, I got to watch Floyd Mayweather's entire camp for that one. And I saw some of the things regular people did not see. And Floyd Mayweather was beating the crap out of 200-pounders in sparring, bro. It was insane to see. It was like, so that was a moment in time for my life where you know how when Allen Iverson pulls off like a crossover move and everybody goes, oh, Floyd was doing that in the gym. And then when he did it in the fight, whenever you saw Floyd look at a certain point of the crowd, he was looking at our row, the people who saw it. But I kind of like looking at us like, wasn't I just doing this last week? Right? Because he was whooping on Canelo so badly on a mental IQ level. He was literally playing chess against a beginner chess player. Right? So definitely not the better. I don't know what argument you could say about that 23-year-old version of Canelo. That's a bad argument. You got to take that one out.
The argument was going down the lines of Canelo didn't change. That the same Canelo who fought Floyd is the same Canelo who fought Terence. That's
not true, though. That's not true.
That's how I feel.
No, that's not even close to being true, because and if Blue Blood was here, I would tell him, I'd be like, you're telling me that the Canelo that beat Cotto on a mental IQ level wasn't a better Canelo? You're taking away Cotto's greatness now. Right. Like, come on, what are we doing? Let's stop that. No, let's not tear a fighter down. Let's build fighters up. Right. That was a great Cotto, maybe at the tail end of his career, although I can argue that after that, Cotto still had some success, right? It wasn't like he was done, right? But Canelo beat a very well-respected great in Miguel Cotto during that time. And Canelo only got better, right? So really the question then, and we can't even count the Bivol version. Canelo had to move up to a weight class he wasn't really dominant at. And if we're being honest, when he beat Kovalev was long in the tooth for him to win that belt, right? So really that was Canelo trying to move up in weight, right? So now we get down to this version of Canelo that we just watched in where Terence Crawford put this master class, right? So check this out, Marcus. You're in the game. Who else at 168 pounds could have beaten that version of Canelo that we saw last night?
Like people who are actually in the division right now?
Mm-hmm. Who else? Because Bud Crawford put such a master class, it's hard for me to even think of who could beat that version of Canelo.
I mean, outside of Benavidez, who's no longer in the weight class, I don't really see nobody beating him.
Exactly my point. Exactly my point. That's the best version of Canelo we've ever seen. And all we saw was Michael Jordan, to your point, Marcus, not Max Kellerman, right? Max, stop watching Mazuma TV and taking Marcus's lines. Right? But
at least give the credit, right? Get the shout out. Mazuma wouldn't care so much if you get a shout out there. That'd been different. Like, go ahead, quote me, but you're just gonna take it and do you and call him Michael Jordan. But go ahead.
Right. But that's my whole point, is that all we saw was that greatness. Like Michael Jordan beat the greats. He beat Gary Payton and Sean Kemp, right? He beat Karl Malone and John Stockton, right? He beat he beat Reggie Miller and all them boys, Death Lab Shrimp. Like, let's not take it away, man. Let's not take it away. That was a Canelo that would have beaten everyone else at 168 pounds today, except our guy.
Yeah.
Except our guy.
Yeah, I do think it's a disservice to and I also think there was a little bit of dismissal of the value of experience. They say this game is a 70 to 80% mental game, 30 to 20% skill set and physical game, right? That boxing is a very mental game. And how are we going to discount years of experience, rounds with like I said, 2-3 fights with Triple G, fights with Austin Trout, fights with Erizandi Lauer, fights with Miguel Cotto, fights with Floyd Mayweather, Dimitri Bivol. You know what I'm saying? How are we going to Kovalev? How are we going to take all those fights and all that experience and tell me that if Canelo Alvarez were to fight Floyd Mayweather again after fighting all these dudes, that it wouldn't be a different fight? Now, do I think that Floyd would beat Canelo? Yeah, I think there's a good chance Floyd beats Canelo because I think Floyd's that nice. But I don't think Canelo winning or losing is a barometer or, that we can scale that to as to whether or not he got better or not. Floyd would have just beat a better Canelo. He wouldn't have beat and fought the same Canelo. You know what I'm saying? Because experience, just fighting Floyd for 12 rounds, Canelo would have came back in a rematch and fought Floyd differently based off the experience of sharing 12 rounds with Floyd.
And here's a hot take, Clay, that I know people are going to attack me on, but I'm going to say it anyways. I don't care, right? I don't think, because we don't know what we don't know, I don't think Floyd Mayweather at 168 pounds, even during that 35-year-old period, 35 to 38, could have beaten this version of Canelo. I don't know what I don't know. Right. But I've never seen Floyd get up to 168. What I did see, however, is Terence Crawford move up to 168 and beat the brakes off Canelo, who's arguably the greatest Mexican fighter of all time. So since I don't know what I don't know, and I do know what I do know, I could argue that Terence Crawford might be better than Floyd Mayweather. Just going to throw it out there. I can throw a debate out.
Listen, man, I told him last night, I said, we don't know what, because he asked me, do I believe that this Canelo Alvarez who fought Terence Crawford, he said, do I know or do I believe that he would beat Floyd Mayweather or Floyd Mayweather would beat him? I said, I'm be honest with you, I don't know. This is 168 pounds. This is a whole different fighter, bro. And we can't speculate into that. I said, but what I do know is, just like you said, I said, what we do know, the facts is when we're not speculating is what's actually happened. We don't need to speculate into what's actually happened. What's actually happened is Terence Crawford beat Canelo Alvarez in his own backyard fully hydrated, fully strengthened, beautiful training camp, no injuries to be heard of, no excuses to be had, experienced, ready, and get dominated by Terence Bud Crawford. I think Terence Bud Crawford beat the better Canelo Alvarez, beat the best Canelo Alvarez there was to offer, and I think that's to be celebrated, and that gives Terence Crawford even more accolades. You know what I mean?
I think. Oh, go ahead, Marcus.
Wait. I gotta get up out of here, man. I gotta go take him over to my mother house and stuff like that. So
no doubt, man.
Thank you guys for having me on. Thank you.
It was always a pleasure, man. A great build, man. Thank you for
coming.
Hey,
Marcus, you're amazing, bro. So everybody, please tune in to Mazuma TV. Max Kellerman, give our guy some credit.
Definitely, he's one of them, man.
You know I'm always around, Clay. So I'll probably be back at you. I'll be back with you on the next one.
Are you going on tonight?
Yeah.
What time?
10.
You promised 10?
I promised 10.
No, because Marcus he'll pop up at 11:30 like, yo, it's crazy, yo. This thing driving me crazy, bro. Yeah, man, let's get into this boxing talk. All right,
well,
man.
Marcus is smart though, because he's hitting the West Coast group. So
yeah, for sure. All right, man. We're gonna build a little later, man. Salute, man.
All right, salute.
Peace.
Yeah, Marcus is great, bro.
That's my guy. Yo, shout out to Diego, says, bruh, if y'all watch that fight again, then you'll have even more appreciation of the masterclass. What does BTA mean? I don't know what it means. Oh, belt to ass, bud. Yeah, man. Amazing event last night. It was a blessing, and definitely, like you said earlier, a sense of gratefulness, of gratuity towards being able to be there in that moment, no matter what's going on in your life. You know, I don't know what, people are dealing with things, and for it to be free, there's some people that if it would have been on pay-per-view wouldn't have been able to watch it, right? There's just some people just hard times, the economy is doing what it does, man, and the opportunity for the world to see that. And also I want to add to it, I think that this fight in particular, this one in particular, might send Turkey Al-Sheikh into the Hall of Fame.
I agree. I think he should be in the Hall of Fame right now for what he's done. Yeah, no, for sure. But for what Turkey Al-Sheikh has done over the last 24 months, and I've been telling this to people, man, like, oh, I don't watch boxing because the best doesn't fight the best. What are you talking about, bro? I've been watching Best versus the Best in Riyadh. I've been watching Best versus the Best in the UK. The only thing you're mad about is, I'm not going to say the company, but you know what I'm talking about. That's the only thing you're mad about, is that this mismatch. I don't know why you're charging me $80 on the streaming service to watch this. I don't know what to tell you, right? So not only do I believe Turkey Al-Sheikh right now in a 24-month period should be in the Hall of Fame, man, they might want to put the Prince and the King in the Hall of Fame for funding all of this, bro. They should. I mean, seriously, right? You are literally funding
Saudi Arabia as a government, as with that PIF fund, gets talked about in boxing history in a very significant way.
Oh my God, this is the Riyadh season era. Yeah, this is the Riyadh season era.
Turkey will always be the face of what Saudi did and represent that. But yeah, man, their influence in this space of boxing right now and what's happening off the strength of them allocating resources towards funding and putting these events together is significant. Like, it's significant in the events and the unification of the heavyweight division and the unification of the light heavyweight division and this Terence Bud Crawford, Canelo Alvarez. There's been some significant boxing action happening exclusively off the strength and off the shoulders of the Saudi Arabian government, bro. And like them, hate them, love them, whatever your feelings are to them, whatever nationalism that you want to stand behind, and America, I get all of it, right? It's all good. However you want to look at it, you can't take away what they've done. You can't move away from that. Bad intention, good intention, sports washing, no sports washing, whatever the narrative is, you can't take away what they've done and what it seems like they're going to continue to do. And I'm expecting more from them. But this fight in particular, This fight in particular
Yes.
was a super victory for Turki Al-Sheikh.
And let me add one more thing so that I could give you guys an American perspective on it, a USA boxing perspective on it. All right. To all my Raider Nation people who 2 years ago when I told you this was going to happen, I told you boxing is going to be back in America in the biggest way by 2030. I thought it would be top 5. Now I'm saying it'll be a top 5 by 2028. I was wrong. It went even faster, right? Let me give you a sport context. The biggest sport we have in the USA is the NFL, NFL football. Okay. The only time you will ever see close to 70,000 people in a stadium for an NFL game is the Super Bowl. That's it. The Super Bowl. And that's if you have an arena that can fill 70,000. The Super Bowl is it. Bro, this was the grand opening of boxing. And though I said, I don't know if we'll ever see 70,000 people in an arena again, because I don't think there's enough fighters in the U.S. that can make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
For this to be the grand opening of boxing to the USA, bro, it basically shows the door and goes, this is the sport you're all missing, advertisers. For all of you advertisers who did not want to help us advertise this on free television because we've been wanting it, for all of you advertisers who got used to the pay-per-view model, let me, Turki Al-Sheikh, with the power of the king and the prince, the crown prince in Saudi Arabia, let me show you the potential of this beautiful sport. And if you, the advertisers, were to back it on free television, how big this could be. We're talking NFL big. Because we just filled a 70,000 people arena, bro. And again, I'm a Raider guy. The most I've ever seen that arena filled, Clay, Chargers, Raiders, to go to the playoffs, 2022, that was 64,000.
Mm-hmm.
This arena was packed, bro, and it was louder than I've ever heard that arena. And if this is the grand opening to boxing for the USA, bro, I cannot wait to see what's next. Let's see Shakur Stevenson versus Teofimo Lopez.
I think that's the next one. I think that's the next big one they're going to aim for. I think that's what they're going to try to do. I don't know where it's going to be, but I think that's going to be the big event.
Let's build up fighters. Let's do shows like this one where we're building up, not tearing down. Let's not talk about, well, that guy wasn't that good and that's why that guy won. No, let's talk about how great the guy that lost was, so that we can build up the guy that won. Let's do that. Let's do that. Stop the hate and appreciate, y'all.
Yeah.
Clay's distracted, reading something. It's probably
I'm watching Bomac go crazy. He's loving life. Man, I'm so happy for that whole team, bro. That whole team, bro. Hard work pays off, man. Dedication. Believe it,
sir.
See it. Believe it, achieve it, bro.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I would open up the panel. I don't know if anybody really wants to come up here. I don't know if I really want anybody to come up here either. My dinner's been sitting over there. It's been a great
show too. Great show.
This was a good one, man.
Yeah, we had a deep 1 hour. Then we got Mazuma in hour 2, right? And we closed it out. We got to see a baby. You know, I mean,
the baby's always a good thing, right? The baby just always brings it full circle, bro. You bring the baby in there, it just makes it a unique episode, bro.
Yeah. I think if you want to do an open panel, you can do it later. Maybe do it later on. But I think this was a solid show. I think that we let our raw emotions come out on how you felt as who you are and what it meant to your son moving forward. You already know. Yeah, you already know how I felt. It was great to get the analysis of Marcus, who's currently in the game, right? That was great. It was great, and I hope everyone enjoyed it. Thanks to everybody who joined us.
Pivot Gym in Philadelphia, man. The Pivot Gym, boxing club in Philadelphia. You know, I mean, him and his father. Mark Rosa and Lando Rosa. Shout out to that whole entire Philadelphia movement. I actually got plans to make a move, go out there and go visit these guys that I built with and really just supported me in such a great way. Shout out to Greg Hackett. I plan on going out there to go build with him. Shout out to my guy Nook Dub out of DC, plan on going out there to Enigma Gym and go build with the Russells. I got a lot of movement to go do out in the East Coast, and that's why we've already talked about things that I'm doing to kind of get more into this space. So that's going to be an opportunity to go ahead and build with a lot of these guys, man, do a lot of one-on-one conversations and hopefully some interviews. And man, boxing is in a great space. And if you're following this space, man, thank you. It's going to be better. Boxing will be covered here always in an objective, passionate way, but more importantly, in the spirit of building, in the spirit of growing this sport. Always with that intention, great intentions behind it, man, because the intentions behind what you do make a big difference on the fruit that the tree is going to bear, that you're
Amen,
growing.
brother.
You know what I'm saying?
Amen.
You can do a lot of things, bro. You could do a lot of things, man. But if you ain't got that right intention behind it, bro, you know what I mean? There's a saying
all goes ways. Yeah.
In the Bible, I think it is, but it's a religious talking about the man who was standing on the preacher podium doing the devil's work, right? Thought he was doing God's work, but because the intention was distorted, ended up doing the devil's work, right? So you'd be shocked how a sword that could protect a whole entire family could also be used to pillage and tear down a whole nother village. So intention is super, super, super profound. And the intention here is a good one, is a positive one, man. And I pray that we carry it all the way to the end that way. Go ahead.
Yeah, and let me just say this, and before Clay closes out, I appreciate the open space. I appreciate you always having me on as a co-host when I can get on. You already know I'm about to go through some medical stuff starting next week. The transplant life, it's always up and down, right? So that's why those type of moments when you have the ups, learn everyone to really appreciate the up, because the down could really tear you down. And I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know how I'm going to handle these next set of things that I'm about to go through, Clay. So if I'm not on the show, it's not because I didn't want to be. It's because I'm dealing with some stuff. But Clay will always send me the stuff, and I'll try to be on as much as I can. But I'm looking forward to the challenge. Terence Crawford has inspired me yet again to say to myself, you know what, man? Terence Crawford could do that. I could do this.
Yeah, I'm gonna bet on me. Tell him I'm bet on me. I'm gonna bet on me. Yeah,
I'm gonna bet on me. So thank you, Clay.
I think it's a good bet, man. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's the ATP Combat Media Show. I appreciate all you guys being in the building. Definitely take a moment to make sure you hit that like button before you leave out the building. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, take an opportunity to do that. Boxing is great, man. Enjoy the rest of your day. Until the next one, it's your boy Rain. It's an ATP Combat Media Show. And at this point, we out.
Who knew I would make it this far? They hated, they never believe me. Yeah, I would never drop the ball. I know I make it look easy. Yeah, Mayweather with the defense. I don't care what a critic gotta say. I got them picking up the pieces. That to me, you really playing with your life. I'm about to come and run it all back. I'm the new era, about to snap back. You ain't fitted for it, cause you all cap like. Hold up, I shoot my shot. Wait, hold up. I'm really about to run this go up. You know it's all net when it go up. Ain't got no other plans, you don't need to understand, ayy. We on overtime, you don't need to understand, ayy. You just show them how to do